G'day and welcome to the Inforunners. I'm Execute. Sorry for the late start. Almost 12 minutes late because I was beating my face. I had one of those things, Algared, where I went to bed late and I was like, yeah, I won't eat. I'll be fine. And then I woke up and I was starving. And I'm like, shit, if I don't eat now, I can't eat for 3 hours. I'm like, all right, we're just going to start late. I'm eating. I don't give a shit. So, yeah, I'm hungry, man. And this is Algared. How you doing, buddy?
And I was sitting there patiently for the last.
I thought you were eating. I thought you were eating, but you were chewing gum.
I was eating a bit of chewing gum.
But yeah, and I'm here going. I was doing the Cookie Monster, so yeah. Anyway, yeah. So sorry for the late start. I kind of pride myself on trying to be consistent as possible, but
yeah, it is one of the things we do try to be. We do try to be consistent. We do try to actually start on time. Believe it or not.
Yes.
I know people find that hard to believe because we're constantly running late.
I think the latest we ever get is 20 minutes. That's probably the latest we get. So we're not too bad.
And in fairness, that's when we've had major
problems. Yeah.
Major problems, like it's not just my end, it ended up being like both ends are having issues and
yes. Yeah.
So we do try to be on time. We don't like being late or tardy.
Yeah. Like to be punctual, but
so yeah, because your time is important, as is ours.
Yes. So we like to try and do it at a regular time, but it doesn't always pan out. Yeah, but I think you would agree I'd be more happy and more myself if I was fed. So I thought, well, yes, I think they'll take the 10 minutes to allow me to feed my face.
I don't know if you guys overseas have the picnic ad.
Oh yeah,
in Australia, we've got the picnic ad. You're not yourself when you're hungry.
Yeah, they do. They actually have it with different actors. So in the UK, it's Mr. Bean. It's not. It's not. So we have Rolf Harris here from Home and Away that does it here. And I don't know. No, not Rolf Harris. What's his name?
Ray.
I can't remember the actor's name actually. But yeah, he's a really long-running actor on Home and Away. And I think he might have been retired recently. But yeah, I don't know who they do in America though. So maybe if you know in America, if you've seen the Snickers ad, you're not yourself when you're angry or hangry or something like that. They call it. But,
hangry.
Yeah. So yeah, if you've seen that one, let someone chat.
X can be an absolute maggot when he's hangry.
Yes,
so can I. But
yeah. So sometimes it's good to take the extra time just to all the beats, so to speak. Right, so there's not a lot that happened this week. There was a few little things. I've been in testing some stuff in the PU. They've been making some very small, minor HUD changes. I was talking to Piss Poor Pete about it last night. Actually, I've got a photo. Hang on, I'll open this. So this is a little photo that I sent to Piss Poor Pete. I don't know if the output camera's working. So you'll notice that essentially what I'm showing you here is just that notice, the exiting the menu. They've essentially redone the graphics for little messages like that. So like when you logging in the server queue, things like that, any of those missions that appeared in that kind of blue bubble are now in this kind of computerized console square. I don't know what else to call it. And so you'll notice some small differences across it there. Also, the way chat works is now different. They seem to be almost colorized to the ship you're in. I haven't tested it on Drake, but when I got into Anvil, the colors of the text chat changed. So they've definitely been doing some HUD changes essentially, or they're at least looking at stuff. So it means they're now, doing things behind the scenes. So I think that's interesting.
The small quality of life changes that.
Yes. Well, Benoit did mention this one about lining the buttons back up because you'd go to click cancel and you couldn't click it because it wasn't lined up with the things. So yeah. So that.
Yeah, I've sometimes found when I'm trying to activate things in the ship and click the buttons, you can't. Where's the turn on? Where's the engine turn on button? Because you'd find the where it says, but it's not where the button is. It's kind of to the side or down, and you just kind of scrolling over looking for that button sign. So yeah.
I'll tell you the little backstory here, actually, I'm thinking about. So you'll notice I'm in a hospital bed here, right? So what happened was I spawned in at Area 18, go all the way through the train, go into my hangar, I pick up a quest, and we're giving away the Heartseeker today, the Mark II Super Hornet. And I thought, I'll give it one last fly, one last send off to see what it's like. and I get in there, I pick up a mission. It's one of those ones where you got to fly. I had to fly out to Walla. It basically didn't have a warp point, so I had to fly for like 5 minutes to get to where I was at. And I fly in, I see the target, and I shoot a couple of shots, and the Aurora rams me, I explode, and I end up in the hospital bed.
Yeah, as you do. And as you said, we are giving away the Mark II Heartseeker. And to enter that, if you have not already done so, what you need to do is go to our video on the Super Hornet Mark II Buyer's Guide and Giveaway and leave a comment. And that's it.
Also, we've got the Paladin giveaway as well. So it's the same, likewise, it's the same for that, but you got to leave it on the tier list 2025 video.
Yep.
That has terrible sound that kills me inside because all my jokes go deaf and it's like really bad, and I hate myself for it. The one video to stuff up the sound on, that's the one you don't want to stuff it up.
No, because it is the one where we try to get everyone of the Inforunners together and go through what we individually think about the ships. And sometimes we're all in agreement. Yeah, it's rubbish, it's crap, it's great. And other times there's a massive disconnect between, or not disconnect, but variance in terms of what we'll say.
But it's good to see that, though, isn't it?
Absolute one, and others will say it's a 5 in terms of being absolutely awesome.
And it's good to have all those differing opinions and understand why and see the different sides of it. And that's one of the reasons I enjoy it, because you get to see the different perspectives, and it's not just this blatant you know, what you and I think, so to speak. It's got all the Inforunners having their
so it's got Space and Paul and
even Leming's on there as well. Actually, I should probably make you do one on your own as punishment for not turning up, you slack ass.
What can I say? You know, I've only missed one. I've only ever missed one. Come on.
Yeah, I know. But still, and I think the other thing that I am thinking about doing is splitting it into 2. So you know how we kind of have to do the 2 images now? Is I'll make the 2 images, but we'll do it like 6 months apart. So like we'll do one in like roughly January and then one in July in those 2 lull periods, because they are just it was 2.5 hours now. So it's pretty lengthy.
And that was generally because I know we were talking about not trying to rush things this time. Because people often say, you know, we start off giving the great detail, and then as it gets on, either members ourselves have time constraints, but our audience often says, "Oh, why do you rush it? Why do you rush it?" And part of it is just because sometimes we've got to disappear, you know.
Yeah, people have other commitments. Like you got to realize, trying to get 3 different, essentially every corner of the globe. We've got UK, USA, Australia, and Turkey as well. Sometimes when Space is in Turkey as well. So you're literally spread out across the thing, and trying to get like the time this time was really weird because we did it at 11 a.m. our time. Now previously it's been like 4 a.m. So I believe it was like midnight for Space. I could be wrong. But him and Paul, I just said to Paul and Space, I said, you guys set up the time, you know, roughly my times, and I will come whenever it is. No, even if it's shit, I will just turn up, right? And that's the time that they picked. So I was really kind of impressed that that's the time they picked. You know, I'm just disappointed you could make it, but that's fine.
Yeah, well, you
had
know,
other family commitments, and that's fine.
Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes that happens during the daytime. Family commitments will.
Last 3 years, that's happened now, where we've had one person miss out. Like it was Space, Paul, and yourself, are the 3 that are missed out.
But you know, that's the beauty of that show, is it does give us that ability to look at each of the vehicles and ships and say what each of us think and why we think it. And so that's why I think that show is a really great show. To look at, but it does take a long time, and so and we've talked about I think we've talked about it on and off for the last year of breaking it up into 2 categories and what ways we do that. So that is coming. So don't forget, go to the our YouTube videos, go to the ship review, the big 2.5 hour ship review, leave a comment there, and you could win a Paladin. And also go to the Super Hornet Mark II Buyer's Guide and Giveaway, and you could do the same thing, and you could be in the running to win, or you will be in the running to win the Heartseeker. Right,
the bot closed itself as soon as I started it. What the hell's going
on? That'd be right. Typical.
I'll try it again. So during the week, I was on a stream with STAR-JM. Impromptu. He started doing it, and I just jumped on. and I want to show it because I think he's done really, really well. And I have not been able to flex these muscles in a really long time. And these are my creative design muscles I used to do back when I did game design. And essentially, what he did votes in like polls in chat to do this. So that's Star Jump there. And basically, what he decided to make was like a repair capital Argo ship. And you can kind of see here he's putting it together. But the real thing I want to show you is the idea that came out of it that you'll find interesting. Was you know when we talked to Ben and John about this UFO thing?
Yep.
And he went out and after we kind of talked about it, he built one, and
he built a UFO.
It's really good.
It looks slick.
So this is it from below, but like I was so impressed. I'll just mute him. No offense, for him while you're here, but like, yeah, have a look at that. And so basically it's like he actually modeled it out from above and got the idea of it, and then he's basically taken the cab of the SCV and kind of like put it in the middle part, and it looks so good. And I'm thinking of like all the different ways that this could land, like could the wings fold up and all this type of thing. And I just was like, I want that ship. And that is so cool.
You know what the nice thing about it is? Like, it is circular. It is kind of that saucer, but it's not a flying saucer in the usual sense. It does still look, to me, that still looks kind of Argo-ish.
Well, the idea we had was it would disconnect because there's a big disc on the top of the Argo ships here, that it would disconnect like a like almost like a repair ship. But it would disconnect from the main ship from the circular motif, and that's kind of what that came in. There was just so many good ideas in chat as well. Like people were coming up with I asked people for an acronym of UFO that would fit that ship, and the ideas that were coming out of people were awesome. I have not had such a cool collaborative thing as that. And next Tuesday we're doing it again. Like it's 4 a.m. I'm gonna go like really early. But I had so much fun. I'm getting up to do that again. And those of those that are in chat that watched it, it was like there was a few people that were there that I noticing the names there. They know what we're talking about. We had a lot of fun doing that. Now, it might not turn out to be the ship that you want it to be. I already can see things in it that I don't like, but it was just a lot of fun bouncing the different ideas and to help Grim make the ship that he wants to build, right? And it was just a lot of fun to just. I have not stretched those creative muscles like that in a long time. My only outlet at the moment, as you know, Algared, is Photoshop, right? So I like I haven't been able to do the 3D stuff in a long time. I can't even really 3D model much anymore. But yeah, it's just a lot of fun doing the concepting. And I want to put something else to you. They're talking about doing that. They do raise money for charity for St. Jude's. So what they're looking at doing is getting 2 teams, and it would be like so it's Star Jump and Ender, or Grim and Ender, and then me and you, and then probably 2 other people as well. So it's 2 teams of 3, and like we do it for charity, right? So we're going to make a ship, and then we'll see what happens from there. But and what we're talking about doing is getting Ben or John, if we get in contact with them, to get them just say that one, so they pick the winner. And it's got no concentration. They don't have to make it or anything like that. It's just like, which one do you think would be the best for Star Citizen type of thing?
I would like,
think about that?
If we were doing that, them to say, hey, why they would like or why they wouldn't take the other ship.
Well,
that would be the type of stuff. If we got
I don't want to put
the type of thing.
I don't want to put demands on them. Like if they don't have time, they just pick and let us know who won. Because I don't want to put any constraints on them, but it would just be kind of cool to have them judge it. So yeah. But little things like we essentially decided that it repairs S4 size ships. So essentially it's like a Corvette size repair ship, which is kind of like around about the same size as the Reclaimer, or a bit smaller, but it's not designed like the Crucible to repair bigger ships. So it was just kind of interesting to have a ship like that. Not what I would have picked, but it was still really cool just to because he was bouncing things off me and I was bouncing things off him and we're bouncing things off chat. So yeah, I just really enjoyed it. I just thought I'd show.
So just to clarify for me, the little flying saucer is a snub ship for this.
Yes.
Cool. I could see that.
Yeah. Reminds me a little bit about how the one you were talking about for the Orion all those years ago. I don't know what's going on, but the bot just keeps closing itself down.
Yeah, so it does.
And I'm not getting any questions coming in. Yeah, it just closed again. I don't know what's going on. I'll have to talk to Piggles. So we're gonna have to do it quick. Oh, this is gonna go so bad. We got no fun.
All right, so we're in for a day of mayhem.
Oh, this is gonna be bad. This is gonna be so bad.
It is going to be horrid.
Right.
Time to get the.
I'm messaging Piggles.
Yep. Yeah, because this is not just a small thing. This is horrendous.
Oh, this is bad. This is so bad. Right. Can you see any questions in chat? We'll do it old school.
None that I can see on Twitch.
Twitch is the easy one. It's
Yeah, I
the
know.
YouTube that's the problem.
The YouTube is a nightmare because it's long. Let's see.
I don't know why it's closing like that.
No.
That's never happened before. Well, not instantly like that.
And today that does mean if we can't get the bot going, if you do have a question, please put it in brackets with question at the beginning because we're doing it the old school.
Yeah.
We're going to need that to help us identify those questions because it'll just
Yeah, it just keeps.
And you could or at us. That would be another.
Yeah,
way
if you actually, what I can do is there's a feature on here we go, start Q&A. Ask us a question. So I'll use that on Twitch, but on Twitch on YouTube. On Twitch just right. Okay. No, I can't see anything.
You just screwed up. You just screwed up the questions.
Yeah, hang on. Pop out chat. There we go. Now I can still see chat. Right.
Now, I do have to say, Shinobi Tip does. In terms of that, you mentioned that I should do a solo episode as punishment of all the ships. Shinobi Tip said that would just be me doing a look at my fleet. Yep. No, it wouldn't.
Socially confused. Yes, it is. That's a very easy way to get out. Yeah. All right, so Slave Gunner says, question. Is CIG's new focus on player experience, real-time active in-game chat moderation part of the scope, or realistic expectations? Either by active human moderation or AI LLM moderated trained, is the purpose even a player blocker feature? Thank you. Wait, sorry. So long-winded. So player experience is real-time active in-game chat. So chat moderation is essentially what I'm reading. Look, I think you guys understand my thoughts on Spectrum. If that carries over to in-game, I think they're going to not have the player base that they think. I do think they do need to have chat moderation, but I think you need to like if you don't like swear words and stuff, you know how you can censor them in the options. I think, but if you're okay with them, you can turn that off. I think we're all adults. I think we can pick and choose ourselves, basically.
Yeah, and there are options where you can block people. I'd at least hope that would be an option that was still there. I often find if I'm trying to do things, I hit F12 and close the chat because sometimes you don't want that stream of chat of just filling up your screen. I know that's harsh and mean and horrible, but hey.
Especially if it's going to a million miles an hour.
Yep.
All right. I need to, because I've turned on this Q&A, it's now creating another problem. So I'm trying to fix that as we go.
Yes.
I'm having multiple problems today.
The windows are all over the place. It's
yes.
As you guys can see, as I just looked across at Twitch.
All right. Wait. It's actually following that. It's not following. What the hell? Why is it following that and not following that? Okay. What are we looking at now? All right, we're looking at that. All right, let's go back to this. Cool. Yep. All right, now I got a chat window, but you don't have a chat window. Hang on, let's see if I can.
No, that's okay. I do have. No, it's okay. I do have.
You got your own
up on the side, so.
Yeah,
that just mean I'll be looking more like this, a lot more.
Yeah.
So. But yeah. So yeah, you can either do the question in there, or if you add us, that'll certainly help pop it up as well. So certainly on YouTube. So yeah.
All right. So Piggles wants me to send him some kind of config, and he wants to test it. So I need to open this thing for the bot and then send it to him. I'm going to try and fix this live. But if you want to look at some of the questions, Algared, if you can. I know you probably can't.
Okay, well, so far we've got the one question you've answered. So
I've got to find it. Hold on. Sorry, Algared. I know I'm trying to do this in the background, and so Algared can't see shit.
I can see you trying to do that in the background, and at the moment I can see one question on Twitch, which is exactly the same question as was asked on YouTube. So we've got no questions.
Yeah.
So the stream's over.
Yeah. Pretty much. Okay. Right. That at least Piggles can look at that now and hopefully get that fixed.
Yep.
Man, I don't know how. I just didn't realize how reliant we are on that bot till it disappears. Right.
I know. Now you know how Paul and I felt.
Yes.
When you were on holiday.
Yes, I do.
It was horrible. It was scary, and I still have nightmares.
Right.
So I love our bot.
No, it makes what we do entirely possible.
Yeah. It certainly changes how we can deal with questions because we just meander through them.
Yeah.
Much to, I think, our audience annoyance at times because we'll often get the same question pop up 3 or 4 times and answered it. And it's usually from new people who don't understand how we deal with our questions and try to deal with them.
There's usually, usually used to be a way I could bring it up. I'm trying to figure out how to do that. Maybe I should start charging for it. Yeah, you should start charging for this bot. It's fucking amazing. I keep telling him he needs to charge for it.
Yeah, we've suggested that to you.
Select question. I'm trying to bring. All right. So this is from Shinoni Trip. So this will actually come up on. If you're on YouTube, this will come up like on the screen below us, like that. Hopefully. So Shinobi Trip says, now that the Mark II Hornet has been released, do you think that they might bring the Gladiator up to date? Well, if you watch the buyer's guide that we did, it was really evident that they were Squadron 42 assets that they just rolled over. And so I don't know how much they would need to update the Gladiator for Squadron 42, and I would probably argue it's pretty much okay for Squadron, wouldn't you, Algared? Trying to think like maybe some graphical update, as in like the HUD and stuff, but
yeah, I expect it'll probably be kept as it is, and part of that reason is what Ben said when we were talking to them is that in terms of updating the Gladiator and even bringing the variants or the modules that in lore it's indicated to have, the size of the bay doesn't really suit for the number of bombs they'd want it to have. So you'd have these tiny bombs in this massive bay, and so they'd need to redo that. And Ben was saying it would probably be better for us to make variants of the Gladiator.
Or at least one variant just for the bombs or whatever.
Yeah, and so...
But again, that also implies that that's not needed for Squadron, so it's a down-the-line thing. And I think that's probably, if they did do a variant, that's obviously when they'd work on the ship.
And so...
Go ahead.
In the lore, you've got the cargo variant, which is just like the Super Hornets body. You've got the torpedo bomber, which we've already got, and you've got at least the ground bomber. So it'd be good to see that. I think it'd be great to see those. But because they're saying if we did that, we'd probably need to look at doing variants rather than individual ships. I can't see them doing a Mark II or an upgrade of that ship until further down the track. As you said, it doesn't seem to be a requirement for Squadron. So again, it's not needed. And at most, I think we just see HUD improvements initially. But I hope to see variants or modules, if possible, of the Gladiator, because it's a great ship.
Right, Piggles, if you're listening, I just tried the bot again. It grabbed one question for Twitch and then it closed down. So I think it's a YouTube thing that's causing the issue. I don't know. It's definitely not Twitch because the Twitch one came through. So we actually have a question there from Twitch. So
we have one question.
We'll do that one. So it's DGG Gnome says, since we know that they have to reconcept a few ships. Do you think that we'll see a reconcepted Reclaimer prior to 1.0? Yeah, see, I've had a lot of people ask me about the Reclaimer. It definitely needs a rework, but I think some of the things that it possibly needs are outside the scope of 1.0.
Yeah.
And it's a real shame, but you're essentially going to have to redo the elevator. You need to redo the docking area. How much have drones changed? How much has salvaging changed? Like, you start to do that and you realize that that's some really core areas of that ship. And I think you'd agree with me, no matter what ship they've worked on, especially the bigger ones, they've learned things. So yeah, you're going to stuff up when you know, you're going to break a few sandcastles and break a few eggs to make a cake type of thing. So yeah, they were going to stuff up whatever ships they worked on early. You know, 600i, 890 Chump, Reclaimer. Like, we can go through the list of things, and you can see they're getting better as they do them and learning and refining. But yeah, I don't see that as a problem. I think you see that as, like me, don't you? Like, it's a part of the course. You've got to learn how to make a ship before you can make a ship.
Yeah.
You know?
And not only that, like, you look at the ships they made back in 2014, the game has significantly changed since then. And so that's going to change impacts of what the ships do and how the ships operate and all of those aspects. So it's kind of this yin and yang, but at the end of the day, they will make the ships, and the ships are going to be awesome. And you can tell that just by the ships that come out. Each later reiteration of a ship, or each new ship that comes out further down the track, is just so much better than the others in terms of functionality, in terms of form, in terms of interaction between players. So yeah.
Benjamin Frick says every manufacturer is supposed to get a capital ship. What makes and capitals would you like to see next? Well, I know what Algared's going to say, but you go first.
Well, I'd love to see more Kruger ships, but I don't think Kruger should have a capital ship.
Okay.
And I think
not the Crusader ship I was looking for, but okay, right.
No, the Crusader ship that you would want for a capital ship would be the Jupiter.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were going to say. For me though, I just really want them to bring out an Anvil capital, because I'm just sick of getting asked about it.
Yeah.
I mean, like I reckon about 8 years we've been hearing rumors of this shit for years. So obviously it's some napkin design of some Anvil capital ship somewhere. Yep. I'm sure they've got like all these ideas in a book.
I tend to wonder whether it's the battle cruiser. The battle cruiser, because that's not the Retribution. The Retribution is like a super dreadnought.
This is my running theory, right? I haven't gone and read the sound files or anything, so I could be completely right or completely wrong on what I think is going to happen. But I think essentially, after episode 1, I think we're going to get a lot more Drake stuff. I've got this feeling that we're going to end up on a Kraken or something like that, working with the pirates, because all humans will band together, right? And then in episode 3, I think we'll get a lot of new ships. So like, think Polaris, and there's that move from Aegis to Anvil that you and I know about in the lore. That makes sense to me too. So that I'm expecting that's probably where we'd get an Anvil capital ship in episode 3. So yeah, they may be a little bit down the line, but when you start to look at the list of fighters, now we have a lot of fighters, but there are a lot of manufacturers we don't have any fighters for, or lack of.
Yeah. Well, we've already got that shift from Anvil to, from Aegis to Anvil, just because of the Mesa link. So that's why Aegis became unliked. The Idris, you'd almost think the Idris is the poster child for the Mesa period. That was the celebrated the Battle of Idris. It's just that where Mesa becomes this great hero. And so you'd almost expect it to be the ship that's most hated, and yet it's the ship that seems everyone likes, and has this second lease of life. That originally, the Peacemaker one was just again overused ships that were being put into civilian use. the law's been slightly retrofitted, I suppose, when I'm butchering that, to say that due to the demand, they actually started bringing out civilian versions of the ships, so actually building specific ships to cater that.
So Grim is messaging me on both Twitch and YouTube saying, thanks for showing the UFO. I'm at the in-laws, so I am only able to catch brief parts of your stream. Let's take one for the team. But good news, next Tuesday will have to be my evening because I'm at work, a work thing, so it'll be several hours later for you. No, well, that means I can do it properly.
7 hours later is actually good for us if it was 4 a.m. for him, because that means it's like normal morning.
For me, it'll probably be like noon to 1 p.m. for us.
Yeah, well, that's significantly better. Right, if it's on a Tuesday, hey, I might even drop in.
Yeah.
But
right, good. Nice to people saying hello. Spike, nice to see you. All right, so I've got a couple of ones on Twitch I'm going to go through before I come back to the Q&A. So I'm trying.
First-time chatters.
Again, we're doing it manually today, and I would just like to point out Piggles is diligently in the background trying to fix the bot. So thank you to Piggles. We really appreciate that bot more than you ever know. We tell him
because
he
all
knows
the time. How much we fall apart without it. That's right.
No, but like we have come to rely on it because it's that good. Like that's why we went out of way to get it for Paul as well, because it's just such a good bot. Like it's like we keep telling him he needs to make it a little like into a product, and actually like he could sell it. Like I guarantee you, if he made that bot properly and it connected with Discord, he could sell it and heaps of streamers would buy it. It's just so there is not many tools that connect YouTube and Twitch together, and this where I can bring up the questions along the bottom on YouTube. If it could do that plus do it on Twitch, you'd be on to an absolute winner, I reckon, with so many people. Anyway, getting sidetracked. A Citizen Ninja.
But you're right.
Go ahead.
I said you are right. You know, from almost the earliest days when we were saying you should polish it up and sell it off.
I'd pay for it. Yeah, and he deserves it because like again, he's making something that people will use. And I even said to him, I said, well, look, if you don't want to charge for it, just give it to the Star Citizen streamers and then charge everyone else. Yeah. And I don't just mean us, I mean like the whole community of Star Citizen. Anyway, Citizen Ninja says, do you think CIG will begin offering more loadout packages for other ships, like the Heartseeker loadout for the Super Hornet? And do you think it was a good idea aside from the relatively high price? Margaret, I'll let you take that one. And then I'll...
Well, I initially said yes. I like the fact that it's now packaged, because it meant that the skin was no longer tied to the actual ship. So you could actually skin and the bits and pieces for $30 instead of paying $200 on, which I hated with your Heartseeker. Yeah,
I think it was a little bit more too expensive, and I think you like there are people that go out of the way to buy that specific skin, and I think they're learning how to bait people though by putting a better turret on it as well. But $30, we're getting into a bit. That's like an indie game in price. That's quite high.
Yeah. It is.
I think they need to start realistically going back and looking at things like League of Legends and stuff like that. And if you want to do skins, that is your upper limit. The best skin you could possibly get is $10. But like again, we're just used to high prices here, and I think they're gonna learn that when it comes to a more casual crowd. Once those more casual people come in, I think it's going to change. Oh, the questions of the bot are coming in. It's like Piggles has fixed it. Everyone big clap to Piggles. He's fixing it. Oh yeah. And just a couple other things Piggles saying. The thing that this is the thing. This is how Piggle talks about his own stuff. Right? He goes, "This thing is hacked together as hell. I'm working on a proper thing that'll be a bit more featured and polished." Yeah, absolutely. But you've been working on it in amongst your normal job for like the last 3 years. It works really well for what it does. Like it's worked really well for us. I think chat would agree it works pretty well, and they don't have issues. But it's just those few little extra features we want. Like we actually went through with Paul and Space, didn't we? And we did a like what would our dream bot be? And we did all these things like competitions and all that type of thing.
Yep. And they're the types of things people say, yeah, I can work at 18M, but Piggles, you have been working on this for a long time, and you can tell how long it's been because I think we've had this since we started doing our live stream.
Pretty much, and we've been doing
And
stream. We'll be coming up to 2 years this September, so that's how long
easily.
we've been using it. It's been a long time. I just
and
want to do.
is absolutely brilliant. Yep.
Yeah, I want to do that first time chatter over there on Twitch because
before it disappears.
Yeah, it already did. So first time chatter, the Star 2027. If you have 2 strong fighters, example F8C and Super Hornet Mark II, would you melt one of them for a Constellation Taurus Andromeda? Look, I can't make those decisions for you. They are the decisions you have to make. We have to give generalized advice. And that's why we always go, look at the dollar amount. And then there's other things like, are you playing on your own? Are you playing with friends? Are you really into combat? They're questions that Algared and I would ask you directly. And I think the other thing me and Algared will say, if you still can't decide, go onto the Discord. There is a whole bunch of people in the Fix My Fleet there that will give you advice. Or if you really just want help, reach out to me or Algared directly and we will help you. That's kind of the process of events. We like you to go to the Discord and because you get many opinions, not just ours. But if you just want ours, feel free to reach out. Me and Algared are very approachable. We pride ourselves on being approachable. We are just normal guys. We are not special in any, well, maybe, but not that type of special, right?
We're not employees of CIG.
Yeah.
We do not have any influence on the shipbuilding team at all.
Yeah.
Well,
I feel I took John a little bit to task too much. Should have talked about the ironclad. I said, "That's not a comment." No, I didn't yell at him, but I should.
It wasn't like that. It was more. That's
not a comment. What are you talking about?
You know, and that was something that did for us when John said that, because we were thinking, oh right, the Corvette's the small ship. The Corvette coming is in between.
Yeah.
And so that was like, huh? So that did take us by surprise. It was equally surprising that John, the way CIG thought, oh, well, that's our big ship. So, yeah.
All right. Pickles is saying he's hacked together a solution for today. All right. So we've got the questions coming in now. All right. So I might just don't put any more questions in via the Q&A. We'll finish the ones in the Q&A, and then we're going to go back to the bot. All right. So please do me a favor and don't put any more in.
So we've got a crap ton in.
Yeah.
the Q&A.
Every manufacturer. All right. Here we go. So this one is from Vendor, who's Vendor says, "How are you both feeling about the way the development is going, and what features are you both looking forward to the most?" Gameplay. I think Algared and I would just say gameplay. Like it is a game after all. There's a reason why Algared and I don't stream this game. It's like I have a very short attention span if I'm not like I don't want to be holding over to, like, how we do 3-hour streams here, Algared. I don't want to sit down and go, right, I'm going to play this game for 3 hours, because if I get frustrated with it, I just log out, right? And I don't want to be on a stream and rage out or whatever I do and leave. I want to enjoy my time with people. And that's why you and I talk about the game a lot more than we play the game live. But we do play the game. Yeah, well, I'll happily go hang out with Pissball Pete or Starjump or any of the other streamers and play the game. But that's because I'm not on a time limit and I can just drop out whenever I want. And I know you're much the same, because if we get frustrated, and let's be honest, the game is frustrating. Like I explained before when I got into the Super Hornet last night, things just aren't the best at the moment. And that's to be expected in a live developed environment. So
yeah, I think the gameplay is, as you said, is the thing that we look forward to. I find sometimes I'll sit down, I know I've got X number of minutes or an hour at most to kind of get somewhere, and I'm trying to get somewhere, and I'll have some random person is running up and continually blocking my path, or jumping in front of the console, or jumping in front of a lift, and doing all those things. And in the end, I just go, yeah, I'm done. I don't have time to be trying to navigate around this person, and I'll just quit. And it's frustrating at times.
Yeah.
But those gameplay loops of a thing, the things that expand out, engineering, mining, salvage, scanning, e-warfare, all of those things that are going to always straight up combat factors of things that I look forward to. And yeah.
Yeah. Again, we're still in the infancy. I think there's a lot to come. Yeah. This is why you and I speculate on a lot of stuff, because that's what we're looking forward to, the stuff in the future. All right, this next guy's name I'm going to absolutely butcher because he's written it in like Russian font or something, but it seems to say
Greek.
Gavavank. I'm just going to say the first name because that's the only one I can pronounce. Who says, I have a Polaris, Perseus, and an Arastra. Which freighter do you recommend? I'm probably going to go with the one that I own, and that's the Banner Merchantman, because it also allows you to sell. It's also a bit more versatile. But if you were just moving sheer volume, I think then you'd move into one of the whole series, and I think Algared would agree with me on those two.
Yeah, probably. The Banner Merchantman is certainly the nicer, more limited, fancy dancy foreign ship. But the whole series, if you're after sheer volume, you can't go past that. Yeah. But again, it depends on what size of ship you're after as well. Like,
people you're playing with, there's a whole bunch of things you got to look at there as well. So yeah,
and then also your budget.
Like, Fix My Fleet is really not that complicated. It's literally looking at your situation and just seeing where you fit, right? And we've said this before. A lot of the time when we do those is literally just listening to what the person is saying and almost saying it back to them, and they're answering their own questions. It's really that simple. It's just like an intervention. I know that sounds weird to say, but that is what it is, right? They come in and go, oh, the Reclaimer's my favorite ship, and they got no Reclaimers, and you're like, what? Yeah. So things like that. We've seen it all at this point. Yeah. All right. So that was that one, and now we're down to this one. Right. So Socially Confused says, Wacker started that 3 ships are being added to the in-game shop so that's Wikipedia from CIG. What ships do you think they are? 3 ships are being added to the in-game shops. There'd be ones that were made recently. I would hope though the Spirit series is one of them, because that's not on there, and probably one of the Zeuses. I'd like to see that. And what else came out last year? Maybe the Atlas. That might be another one. I don't know. What about you, Algared?
3 ships. Yeah, I haven't really thought about 3 ships.
So just what's 3 ships that are out that you would like to see added to the in-game shop? I'll change it for you. That's essentially how I answered it.
Yeah, I'll go the Atlas, the Polaris, and
Polaris. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'll give you that.
Right. Yeah, and I'll stick with the.
Do you reckon they'll let you walk up to the kiosk and actually pull your character's kidney out to pay for the Polaris? Do you think that's an in-game feature they're going to
Probably, yeah. Actually, Polaris is probably way beyond it.
It's going to be like 100 mil or something ridiculous if they put that in game. But maybe that's the sinkhole they want.
But you can buy the people were buying the 800 jump in, 890 jump in game. So at 30 odd million. So why is it obscene to have the Polaris there, which is built not only as a military ship but one that is built for local militias.
Yeah. Shinobi Chip says the Mark II Hornets don't have component access. Do you think this is for balance purposes? I think it's for Squadron 42. I think it's really obvious that it's a Squadron 42 asset flip. Able to add or remove components without modeling the location, or is it late? It means they're going to have to come back and do them again. But they can sell them now and they work right now, because guess what? Components don't really matter. They're all kind of... That's the part that we interact with. But again, they don't have any functional state at the moment. So that's why they've put it into the game, because yes, they're nice and pretty to have, but let's be honest, they're just doors that open and they don't do anything. Fortunately. You want to answer that, Algared, or move to the next one?
No, that sounds pretty good.
Thick Boy says, do you think the Vandal ships will be updated with the Squadron 42 models before to build more hype, or after Squadron 42? Based on the way they've treated other models, I think Algared, you would agree with me that they would consider that spoiler territory, and they'll wait until briefly after Squadron 42.
I got the impression, since we know that the new Vandal ships are done, like the Blade, the Glaive, the Scythe, we know they're done.
Yep.
And we still don't have them in game in the PU. That to me is blatant evidence that they're holding him out until Squadron 42's out.
Yep. Yep.
So
I think it's the only alternative to that I could give now. I really think about it, and you let me know if you think different. Would be like what they've done with the Mark IIs to money raise. But I think a lot of that last year was because they were doing a lot of onboarding.
And I think that last year they were doing a lot of onboarding, and when we're at that first bar CitizenCon, you talk to the developers and say, oh, what are you doing? It's, oh, I'm a ship developer. Oh, what was your onboarding task? And some of them were talking about, oh, I did the control console on a ship. I did the MPUV. I did
one guy you said was doing the joystick for one of the ships.
Yeah, the joystick of one of the ships was his onboarding task. And someone else was doing the full remodel of a ship. So it really depended on
maybe it depended on how,
but also
the needs, but how much work they needed to be trained up and
so the onboarding task went everywhere. You could pick. I wouldn't be surprised if someone had a thruster for the cutters. The different variants of the cutters. Give me the thrusters for this one as an onboarding task. It's got to do X, Y, and Z. Go for it. And then it's just letting the designer or the builder show what they can do within the limits and the confines of what we've been asked to do.
All right. Chase the Calm Gaming says, could we see a system like Eve's Online Concord where overwhelming force arrives quickly, or will criminals always have a window to act before security intervenes? They've talked about this. It depends on the security space that you're in, but basically they rock up almost pretty much instantly in high security space. Then it's like 10 to 15 minutes in medium space, and then they don't turn up at all in low security. Sorry.
And then as time goes on, more and more. They've talked about more and more arriving. So you're fighting a couple of fighters, and you're beating them, and then larger ships turn up, and then larger ships turn up, until eventually you are just done by overwhelming force. So whether they continue going down that line, but that's certainly a line CIG have talked about.
So Benjamin Frick has a follow-up question to his one previously, which is a follow-up. What would you like the Anvil capital to do? I look at it from a lore perspective a little bit and go, they are very combat and military focused. So for me, I think that you'd probably, and being one of those bigger ships, I think it would have to definitely be some form of pew-pew. And I think in the how do I put this? In the Kraken Idris size, right? We don't have a fully I don't know how to put this, gun or combat based, almost akin to the Javelin, or you could even make it smaller, like a Polaris too. Like we have the torpedoes of the Polaris, and then we have the Odyssey in that area, right? So you could also completely remove the hangar and just have it all guns or multiple rail guns even. So maybe a rail gun on either side, or something like that. I don't know. I'm not the designer. And I hate being asked these questions because I come up with really cool ideas that I love, but I know they're never going to come to pass, right? It's much like when we were doing the thing with Grim, right? It's a really cool idea. I really love it, and it is a lot of fun, but you're going to walk away upset because it's never going to happen.
Well,
that's the downside.
May never happen. There's always the opportunity. CIG will see and go, oh, I really like that idea.
Hey, Leming,
can we? And then contact me and say, hey, can we use it?
Yeah.
But yeah,
they wouldn't have to ask us. They could just do it anyway.
Yeah, but in terms, I'm just doing, dotting their I's and crossing their T's for intellectual copyright.
Yeah. Yes.
But in terms of the Anvil ship, we know. Or apparently in law, Anvil have been building a ship at the shipyards.
I think that was
base.
I just think that was the Liberator now. After all this time,
that may well have been the Liberator. We don't know. It's never been said, hey, they've stopped doing it.
Yeah.
But I would like to think that given that the Idris is a very old design and it is Anvil, or Aegis, sorry, that we would get the new replacement for an Idris, a modern variant of Idris,
Mm.
that was replacing the old that's too much like the messes.
Mm.
So anything, anything
So
would do that
another
job.
combat carrier essentially, though.
So another combat carrier, or a combat ship that was less of a combat carrier, because we do know that we've got the Pegasus escort carrier.
So how do you think they would
out there.
differentiate it from the Kraken and the Idris? Do you think it'd be like partially covered? So it's kind of got like a couple of pads and a couple of like garages or something akin to those.
If it was a carrier, if it was a carrier, kind of like an Idris, could just be two fighter bays on either side.
Maybe they fly out to the side instead of flying in a line, so you could literally just have 6 and
a bit like
or 3, and they just
Battlestar Galactica exit, or I think
I still want a ship where you essentially drop, right, and then when you come back, you fly up in, and the doors close below you. I reckon that'd be awesome. A bit like the drop ship in from the Aliens franchise, where they go 5x5. That, so you can actually be held on, and then it lets you go. I reckon that'd be
and you drop
sick.
for a while,
in
atmosphere, and
you could, and that's really easy to do in Star System because it's just a tractor beam.
Yep.
And then it stops.
I would still like to see one of the carrier ships that I love the look of was in Babylon 5, and that was the early on. You had the pirates, and the pirates basically had this ring around their mothership, and all the fighters attached to the ring by docking clamps, and they'd launch launch from there, and then you'd reattach by they'd fly back, attach, get out, go to their living quarters, etc. And I'd love to see one kind of like that, but that would be a massive monster of a ship. But yeah, that's kind of what I'd like to see. But yeah.
Okay, we're almost at the end of the ones on this, so we can get back to the bot. Three left. All right, so this one is Brendan Easton says, do you think they will add the ability to rearm ballistics from crates inside the ship sooner rather than later, or will that step on the toes of dedicated rearming ships? I do eventually, like they described years ago, like picking up ammo from the cargo bay and running it up to where the weapons are and reloading them and stuff like that. I think the other part of that, you would agree with me, Algared, is that some kind of component closet? You open a closet and then you put the ammo box in and then close it, and then all of a sudden it loads into the nearby gun. Like, we don't have anything like that at the moment. So that's obviously down the road, much like components weren't there for a really long time. It'll have to be something else that they're going to add. But I love the thought of that gameplay that, like you're in a ship where it's ballistics, not lasers, and the advantage is you're dedicating a person to rearming, but in return for that you get more deadly weapons, but they're limited, and I think that's a really cool gameplay mechanic, as in a balance. And it gives you a reason to return. It gives you a reason to return home to for resupply, or the logistics to come out and rearm you.
And it also means that if you've got cargo space, you're actually dedicated. You're actually able to choose: am I taking extra ammunition, or am I taking the cargo? They talked about that way back with the Constellation and the Misery. The Miss, where they've
finally rubbed off on him. He's using my lingo.
Where they've got the easy way to kind of.
It's an easy way to remember it. Yeah, it is. I know.
But when those two ships have internal missile launchers, and they were the first ones, and so whereas the Connie's arms couldn't be rearmed, the internal ones they did talk about. If you had missiles, you'd be able to rearm and restock them, same as the Miss. So that was always something that was talked about. But back in the day, fighters with ballistics used to have ammo cases on the side, and you could, if you had ammo cases and they'd run out, you could actually kind of attach them or reattach them. And if you took the ammo cases off, you'd fly out and, oh crap, I've got my guns are there, but I'm out of ammo.
Well, so that could also be a thing down the line. Why different ships or different guns, right? Sometimes the gun has to be reloaded at the gun, right? As in, like the drone comes over, like a fighter would need it reloaded at the gun. And so a drone will come over and put the ammo on there, but also certain ships, like even fighters, could have the ability to have internal
I
cargo
would.
storage that has to be automated or moved around or reloaded, and it's the same thing with when you get to the bigger ship, do certain guns have different features? And I think that's just another way to essentially get two categories of ballistics. You know what I mean? You get the ones that need to be kind of like manually reloaded or externally reloaded or internally reloaded. And I think that would be interesting.
Yeah. Although if you had, it'd be a differentiation there because it'd mean ships that had the internal reloading when you're restocking them with.
You're going to get a
with your
similar thing.
refills. If you'd have to have a different way to getting the ammo in.
You'll get the same thing with the lasers, though, because of how fast a certain battery will recharge a certain gun. You could actually have different batteries as a component, and they are tailored to different weapons. So, like we've got today, where you got alkaline and lithium. You could essentially have different ones that are beneficial to each task.
Yep, and and we know they've talked about components or slots that go in and enhance those components and change them. So, yeah, but I would like to see the ammo worked. I'd like to see ballistic crates. I'd like to see that being something that takes up extra cargo, same as missiles. And you get the idea that even with the Polaris, they've thought about that because we've got the massive lift for lifting the torpedoes from a cargo bay up to the torpedo tube, so you can actually reload the whole system. So it is something CIG are thinking about and have thought about and are looking at implementing. It's just that it's still early days.
All right. Next one is Trevor Intrepid, who says, I clicked the wrong button.
Who did?
That one. Who says, so you're saying that your Heartseeker giveaway is a dodgy crash repair job? No, like they refer. No. When it comes to you, it'd be brand spanking new coat of paint, everything. So yeah, it'd be all good. We'll give that away at the end of today anyway. If you guys won't let us, we'll remind us before stream ends, I'm sure.
And if we do forget, we'll just do it next week. So, if we do forget,
if chat forgets. If chat forgets, we do it next week.
If chat forgets, we do it next week, and it gives you another week.
It
gives you another week to get in.
Yeah, all right. North End Trooper says they say 3 ships are coming in game shops. We did that one already. So the last one here, so we can go back to the bot, is from Chris, who says, I have images of the Matrix where runners with ammo boxes go reload the armored personnel units. Absolutely is one of the things I think of as well.
I think that was one of the images that people had of the Perseus as well when it comes out, the heavy guns needing rearming and swapping up the ammunition to suit the different groups. So that was an observation more than a question, but yes. All right, going to the bot. Sighs of relief. Star-27 says, for the peeps here, if you had a Super Hornet Mark II and you were able to get an F8C, I prefer F8C, would you keep both or melt the Super Hornet and turn it into
We did that one already.
And I know we did answer that one, but again, it comes down to what you're after and your gameplay.
Just reach out to the Discord or me, Algared, and we'll help you with that one personally. Because again, you can answer that yourself, but you need to know the questions to ask yourself. So, yeah. Anyway, next one.
Next one is Arts, who says, is there a way to get past the infinite load screen when loading into the PU?
Yeah, it's called Alt F4.
Reboot, start again.
So I think me and Piggles worked this out years ago now, but deleting your temporary shaders in and I'm gonna have to remember where it is now because it hasn't been to me for a little while. But it's Algared's watching what I'm doing here. So you go into your C drive user folder, then you go into the one that's named after your username, then you go into the invisible folder that's called app data, then you go into, I think it's called local. What's the third one? I'll find it here. Just give me a second. Yes, local, and then you go into Star Citizen, and then it's. I'm gonna have to do it. Hang on, I'll do it. If I do a,
you have to do it live because it.
But I don't have a way to bring this up, so I'm gonna have to save it to Paint, and then I'm gonna have to save it and then bring it up in the browser. Save, and then we'll put that in downloads, and we'll just call this Temp files. Temp
Yep.
files. Sorry, doing it live. That's the way it goes.
Oh, and you could. I think you could do is just eradicate all your caches for Star Citizen and try again.
Yeah, but that's kind of what that's what this is. That's what I'm about to show.
But if you delete all your caches, then it takes a little bit of time to reload. Stuff. But
so now I've got to go into here, downloads, and then open this in Firefox so they can see it. And then if I go over here and then go to here, so this is the folder I was talking about. So if you can read in that really small text, it says this PC, local drive C, users, that ANARC is my username. So whatever your username would be, then app data local Star Citizen, and you'll go in here and you can see it just has all the crashes and all the versions that have shaders. And this is the thing that a lot of people don't realize. If you never look at this, it keeps every new version that comes out, it makes a new version of the shaders, and these aren't small. These are a couple of gig each, right? So some people's hard drives will fill up and they won't know why, and it's generally this folder because they need a button in the launcher to delete this shit and
purge the cache.
Yeah. It's I'll just go back in real quick. I did close it. Was it users, me, app data, and yeah, you have to have turn off hidden folders because to be able to see it. And then Star Citizen, if I can learn to read. So if I just select all those and go properties, so just those ones there that you can see on screen, it's still compiling, still going. We're over 10 gig now. We're over 10 gig. 11.2 gig. 11.2 gig for just those ones there. So there are some people that have never looked at this file and it just has heaps of them. And you'll come in here and delete them and it'll delete, like so much free space. And by deleting these, it forces it to rebuild the shaders. And if there's a corrupt shader, that can be why it doesn't load. Right, so this is me and Piggles found this. It must have been 3 or 4 years ago now, when we're both looking like there has to be something that's hidden that we're not finding, and we found this at the time. Badgers hadn't been able to get into the game in like 3 months. He deleted all these, got into the game first go, and because this folder is still there. If you reinstalled the game, it re-looked in this folder, and if you hadn't deleted them, and when you uninstall, it doesn't remove these. And that's what's causing a lot of problem for a lot of people. There needs to be a button to delete your temporary files, right? That needs to be added, especially because we're in a beta environment. Final game, totally fine. Now, they need a button in that launcher to delete these because a lot of people don't know where this is. And I don't think they should have to go look for it. It should just be a button you click and say, a part of the fix my game, you verify the files, the first thing they should be doing is deleting all these. So,
Indeed.
Wait, it's for deleting shaders, cache, and video config reset. That button is already suggested and highly upvoted. But see, okay, cool. Thank you, Nelson. I probably didn't see that on the. Was that on the issue council, Nelson Noons? I'm talking to you.
Yeah, that would be on the issue council as a highly upvoted. Again,
that's another thing with the issue council. Different people word things different ways. One of the things I'd like them to do is when you merge duplicates or whatever you call it, it actually doesn't just take over the title. I think it actually needs to have multiple titles because different people think in different ways. And I also think you should be able to kind of upvote the title you think makes the most sense, because sometimes someone will go, I use computer machine. This is a computer, right? Different people think in different ways. And I think the way a coder would write something is very different to how a lay person would even think or say, right? So I think you need to have some kind of weird middle ground that goes between the two. And I don't know how they're going to tackle that problem. The only thing I can think of is having multiple titles and upvoting the most popular one. And when they merge, you don't just delete the old title; it becomes a subtitle or something like that. But yeah.
Yep. Or even a message that says this has been merged with. Yeah, and that's one of the things I found on the issue council. Sometimes you'll put in and it says you look for titles and there's nothing there. You put your title in, it says, this is a copy of.
Yeah. I also have to
Um,
kind of correct myself from earlier because Pissball Pete's, and I have to agree with him. Yeah, Alt F4ing, that was a joke when I said that. You shouldn't do that because it actually can cause corruption of your files and actually can mean you need to reset your account and stuff like that. But I was just saying that as a joke. So yeah, please don't do that. Try and let it run out because it will cause more problems than it will solve. So yeah, bad information on my part. Should have thought of that before I made a joke. Right.
Naughty boy.
Yes.
Okay, Feral has a question. With CRG new focus on player experience, is the real time? I think that's the one we also did as well. So the experience of real time active in-game chat moderation part of the scope, or is it realistic?
Yeah, we did that one.
And I think just the ability to block people will probably be there something as well.
Yeah. Socially confused.
No.
Oh, you just said, is this it? Okay, yeah, next one, go.
Yep. Jag Mason says, not a question, but your talk about earning down prompted me to shuffle my 2 ships around to become a Paladin Zeus Emerald duo and earn my vanity ships in game. So thank you. No problem.
You're welcome. Not everyone agrees with us, and that's totally fine. You get the ships that you want to get. But when you start to look at it like that, it seems to make a lot of sense. And this is just like we're seeing it in game now with the way the economy's going. But before all this came in, it was just speculation on our part. But it has come to pass, and it's pretty logical. If you look at a game, even another game that's not exactly the same. I always use World of Warcraft. You can take a level 60 character in World of Warcraft, walk into a level 20 area, and you can just one-shot all the mobs. Right? It's exactly the same analogy. You can take obviously a big ship is going to be a lot harder to earn than a small ship, but taking the big ship and earning smaller ships, well, that's easy. It's the Star Citizen equivalent. And if you've only got so much money to go around, and you are willing to make a few very minor compromises, like putting yourself out for a week or two to possibly earn a whole bunch of ships, I think quite honestly, you take a reclaimer, you'd be able to earn enough money to get an Avenger in a mission or two, right? It's not going to really blow the bank. But going the other way, you're talking, I don't know what the time is going to be. I think the only time we've ever had our grid, now you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but it was 60 hours to go from a freelancer to a Connie. And that was way back when. Right?
That was like 2013, 2014. And Chris was talking about that in terms of, you've got your little ship, your daily driver, and basically being able to play the game all the time. He was hoping that it would take you, for a normal person, about 60 hours or around about a month of regular gameplay for a regular person. Someone who's playing all the time, they wanted it, so they wanted those times to be roughly the same. But
it allowed us to justify the cost. It was like, well, I can make more money in the real world in that time.
Yeah. But the buy big earn down was something that Hayes actually first presented to us, and he was like, man, you're nuts having this ship when this ship is a third of the price and does X, Y, and Z. And you went, when you're looking at trying to stretch your dollar and make your dollar go as far as you can, but
there's a few people saying they Alt F4 and rage quit every time. Ribbity Rip saying that. I do believe you can Alt F4 when you're in game, but on a load screen, it's a very bad idea because you're essentially stuffing with files in process. It can still happen when you're in game because it's loading and unloading things, but it's most likely to happen when you're on a loading screen. But it's never a good idea to quit a program like that. It's like holding down the power button on a computer. You can do it, but you really shouldn't because it can cause problems like blue screens of death, etc. Excuse me. Right, next one.
So Brendan Eason says, do you think they will add the ability to rearm ballistics from crates inside?
We did that one.
We did that one?
Yep.
Brooke Wills, do you think they will build the capital ship and miss capital ship to go along with the Kraken?
I wonder, do you know what that could be, Albert? I'll let chat. I'm gonna let chat answer that because they know what we're gonna say. So just put the answer of what is the miss capital ship. So who asked that question?
It goes along with
Brooke Wills. So Brooke Wills. This, if you know Inforunners at all, they're all going to put the same answer in chat. MISC vehicle that would be capital ship. And let's see. I'm just going to sit here and watch now. I know they're a couple of seconds behind us. No, that's not the one. Leming.
What cult do we belong to?
You're out of the cult. You're gone. No more ropes for you.
Yeah, that's right. What cult do we belong to?
Come on. What is the cult we're in, boys? No, oh god, got the wrong thing. Oh, all right. Citizen
No,
Ninjas in.
why do people still keep saying the Odyssey?
Shiver, Dad, you're out. Static Shell's in. Right. Who else? Dot Cop, you're out.
Yeah. Why do
Master
people
can
keep
come
saying?
in.
Why do they keep saying the
Get out of
Odyssey?
here,
I'm shocked.
Yeah, Shipmaster's kicked out. I'm derobing all you people. You guys are terrible. All right. Yeah, it's the Endeavor.
Yep. Clearly, we need to do some more indoctrination.
Yeah. You got to get those potions working. They're waning off.
That's right. It's clearly they've forgotten that we have a cult of the Endeavor.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it there. Jock Cop, given its niche gameplay, which was mentioned in the 1.0 talk, is the Nautilus a potential post 1.0 ship?
I think it is absolutely, because you can do mines without the ship. The other thing we kind of one of the questions I asked, because I know butchering his name, Starjump, Grim, is a big fan of the Nautilus. I asked, like, because of the size of the mines and stuff, could we see bigger mine ships in the future? And they said absolutely. We're not with words to that effect anyway. So that could be a thing in the future. So again, the Nautilus won't be the last mine layer, most likely. And again, like, if you're thinking that's a big ship, imagine, the Anvil capital could be a capital mine layer. It really could. Like, I can't see why not, but we'll have to wait and see. Like, again, it's up to them what they design. Yeah. Reporting for re-education, Leming says.
Okay, so the next was Thanasis Calorentes, if I've remembered my Greek. Have a Polaris, Perseus, and Arasta. Which freighter would you choose?
We did that one.
And I think we did that one as
We're
well.
getting lots of double ups because of the bot today, but it's okay. It's fine. We'll persist today.
Kingu Crimson says, speaking of capital ships, do you think we'll start seeing more varied types of capital ships like carriers, frigates, industrial ships from each brand? Yes, as time goes on.
I think we hinted a little bit to that. I think a lot of them are squadron locked. They are a part of that, but also big ships take a long time.
Yeah.
It's kind of a tough one, because obviously you want those cooler, bigger ships, but also they kind of become more generalized. Do you know what I mean? Like again, like the only example I can kind of really look at the Kraken versus the Idris. They are carriers, you know, that they are designed to work with other ships. But then you have your outliers, and they go into things like the Orion, the Reclaimer, the 890 Jump. So they go into this super niche profession. So they're either hyper generalized, which are usually combat based or support based, or they go the other way and they're super niche. So are we going to end up seeing something in the middle? Like I think the closest one that's probably a little bit of an all-rounder is the Privateer, because it can still do the support, it can do a combat, and it can do some shops. So it's got probably the most versatility of them all. I do think we'll see other variants of the Privateer, and I think the exception to that would be the Javelin, because it's all modular.
Yeah, the Javelin does have six rooms, or was billed as having 6 rooms, but to pick up John Crew's comment, they never sold rooms for the Javelin. They never even told us what rooms they'd be. So, are they still beholden to produce modular rooms for the Javelin? And I would argue they don't need to.
They did. I think the last time he talked about them, though, and I can't remember how long ago this was. It was a couple of years ago. They did say they were still planned.
Yep.
I think from my talk and your talk with them, though, them making a modular system is definitely got to be on the cards, just from the way they explained the Caterpillar and stuff to us.
Yep.
I just can't. But it's a priority thing, right?
Yep.
And when you look at it as a priority thing, it just isn't that high, right? It'll come, but I would say it's definitely 1.0.
What
after?
Yeah. What I would like to see with some of those modules is a bit like they talked about with Retaliator way back in the day, that there are third-party producers of modules that go into Retaliator. So they're not all from from the company that builds the ship. They have other companies come along and go, oh yeah, well,
I think that's the other upside to it too, is if they did it sooner rather than later, variants would become such a really cool thing. And like, you know, they bring out a ship. I'm going to speculation hat on big time here, right? They bring out a paladin, it's got a module on it or whatever, and you can swap out one of the rooms, and it's made by Drake, and it's a barbecue. Do you know what I'm trying to say, right? So essentially, you can have it look like something else, and it's something else completely different from its original purpose. Much like when you get variants like the medical terrapin that came along and stuff like that, it allows them to pivot down the track pretty easily.
And I think that's the advantage. Like that's I think is the advantage of modules. It enables people to, as you're saying, to pivot their gameplay without necessarily having to buy a brand new ship. But there also comes into that just the logistics and the feasibility of actually building the ships. And some ships just aren't going to lend themselves to doing modules.
Yeah.
The Gladiator is a classic example. As Ben's talking about, we've looked at, we've been thinking of this, but to do a bomb bay in a Retaliator or a Gladiator, you're ending up with this very small payload in this massive big area, and it just doesn't seem to fit. So,
I'm just going to cut this question to the head of the queue because we did answer this one last week, so I'm going to kind of answer it quickly. Slave Gunner on Twitch says, what new ships you believe is coming out during Invictus and Drake Defense Con, Perseus or Ironclad? So we essentially talked about ships that we were expecting to come. The Ironclad is on the cards. I don't think the Perseus is, because it's being introduced in much the same way as the Polaris, and I know you agree with me on that, Algared.
We've talked numerous times. So a lot of times when just to the chat, because a lot of the times where if X will say, I know you agree with me, it's not because he's putting words in my mouth, it's because we've spent probably an hour or so previously talking about that issue, and
fully expect him to go, I did not say that if I did. That's why I said that.
Yeah.
Because I'm waiting for him to go, that's almost me like half checking. And I think the only other one I'd add to that, besides the Ironclad, is the Raelian is also on the cards, and probably the Apollo. Now, obviously, you've got the drones to bring on the Apollo. So if I had to look at it, I would probably say the Raelian and the Ironclad would be my top two picks. Not saying we're getting either, but again, we're just going based on the way they've explained the ship pipeline to us. It always takes 18 months. They put the number of people on it to make it take 18 months. That's how it works. So the Ironclad was in production, and it'll roughly end around Invictus, much the same as the Raelian was in the same ballpark as that. So that will be around about the same time. And heaven forbid we actually get an alien ship at Alien Week. Holy shit, Batman! Oh my god.
That would be something. I think that's something that, if they could do it, that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see, the event they have where we celebrate Alien Week, or First Contact, that we actually have an alien ship.
He did say Invictus Defense Con, but I think we'd all slap him across the head with the trout and say, yes, it also includes Alien Week. Yes, it is a week or so later, but it's there to tie it into the same thing.
It's those kind of three events kind of linked together. So,
So I let us know, Gunner, if you think we're totally off the mark on Alien Week being a part of Invictus, but I think Alien Week is a part of Invictus, and that's just how I see it.
Yep, I don't disagree with you at all. Vendor had a question, and I do like this one because it ties in with, I think, how gameplay will go, but also other things. He says, with base building, do you feel they will have to be some sort of wipe to cull bases that are not active?
Yeah, I think that's basically, remember the whole thing about the cup in the woods? I think they've kind of realized like how many entities they're going to be dealing with. And just how shitty things are going to start to run. And I think that they need a way to save certain things and despawn certain other things, right? Because the cup that I live in the woods, is that cup important to you, Algared?
Absolutely not. Not unless you've got,
So the way I would do it, now I don't know what their plans are, but I would have a way so that my computer can save things that are important to me, but they are secondary things like a cup, right? But a gun or a vehicle is a lot more important to you and me, because if I leave a gun, you can pick up the gun, but chances are you're not going to give two shits about my cup, right? So I think certain things there has to be an entity order of priority, and I think that they probably could locally save to your own computer or to somewhere to their own servers. I'd probably prefer it local because, again, if I delete the game and I never ever come back, they don't need that information, right? There is a danger there, but again, if it's prioritized, if I decide to change my cup somehow and hack it to be a gun, error, that doesn't work, right? So if they can work out for a way for that system to work without it being hacked too easily, it is a slippery slope, but that would be one way that they could do it. Now, that's just me spitballing here. I'm sure they've got a whole team on this thing, and don't take me at my word. I'm just trying to give an example of how it could work.
Yeah, I think there are several things that come into this. One, I think it was Rich Tyler talking about where they had collisions.
Yeah, it's like
with all the stuff.
It's like Pissball Pete says, offloading data to clients leads to exploits. Yes, that is a potential, and that's why I was trying to bring it up. So yeah, let the server handle it. But again, if you're dealing with every single entity possible, that is a lot for them to put up with. And I would argue the non-important entities like cups vastly outweigh the number of ships and vehicles and armor and important items than pieces of food. Like, because that's the other thing. If I put a piece of fruit in a box, does it deteriorate and break down and then completely disappear? Or do I put a muesli bar in a wrapper, and because it's in a wrapper, it lasts 10 times as long? Like, and do they break down to just do they turn down into dust, or do they turn down into compost? You see what I mean? Like, these are the things you got to start to ask yourself. Do I because in some games you like in Ark, for example, you would deliberately let meat go off because there was certain creatures that liked off meat, but also the off meat could be used to make poison and a whole bunch of other things, right? So this is where I'm going. You see what I'm saying? So they've got all these questions they've got to look at. It's not a simple one-trick solution, but I do agree with what Pissball Pete said. It does lead to exploits, but if there's a way they can get around it, like have some kind of service check, or it's heavily encrypted as well, there are ways to get around it.
So tied in with this,
absolutely. Pissball Pete says you could give them a memory budget, yes, but then every person that comes to the game, the servers are just forever expanding as more and more people join. What happens when I make another account? Then they have another. You see what I mean? So it is a slippery slope. I don't think there is a perfect solution. I think they would find the best solution. Sorry, Algared, go ahead.
So there are a couple of things that come into this. One is, I think it was Tyler who was saying when they were looking at the physics and the problems with collisions of objects, where objects would be spawned, but then they'd still be there, and then you had another ship turn in and it's colliding with things. They said, okay, what's causing the collision? This ship needs to stay because it's a player ship. The wreckage, which is colliding, that gets erased. And so that was one of the things they were looking at in terms of fixing that problem. The other one that comes into this is you're talking bases that have been abandoned, which means over time they're going to wear down. And you saw that type of gameplay or element in Ark. You saw it in Life is Feudal, where if you didn't repair a mine, the mine would collapse. So if you didn't replace timbers, the mine would collapse. In Life is in Ark, you had similar things. You were repairing things that it would
something else down. You and I talked about too. Can it go the other way? Like how messy. It's one of the things you and I have talked about. Like how messy Pyro is right now. Could me, you, and a whole all come into one of those space stations and resupply it, reinvigorate it, tie it all up, and would it look like Stanton when we're done?
And CIG did talk about that early on in terms of the old base station conquest, where or takes over a base station and they could fix it up and put weapons and defenses on it and enhance the defenses, and then so time would enable you to do that. So CIG have clearly thought about that, but they've also talked about ways in which you would clear the clutter. I think some of the things, like you were saying, the insignificant cups and things like that, they would be culled over time and just wiped. But the bigger things like bases, I think the idea was that the environment will wear them down when they've got no power.
That's a really good point.
The items will actually just break down and fall apart, and then you can salvage them, or they will just fall into total disrepair.
So if you were prepared to chuck a bigger memory allocation at it from the get-go, you could actually just put a shelf life of it on everything. But the problem is, like, different things have different shelf lives. Like I said, like a piece of fruit can break down really quickly. But if you have a glass mug, I'll put this in perspective, right? so you can get
Mhm.
where I'm coming from here, right? Realistically, right? Now, I was sitting under a tree when I was a kid, right? And I was sitting on something, and no one had ever sat near this tree before, right? And I basically started digging, and I actually found a Coke bottle from like 1935, right? And that Coke bottle had just been left against that tree, and it had been covered up and had sat there for almost 80 years at that point,
Yep.
right? And basically, it was one of the old ones where they used to seal the Coke at the bottom. It was done on rollers, and someone would wear a glove and glass, like smear a bit of glass on it to seal it. That's how old it was. And I had to look it up and find out all this stuff about it. But long story short, there's a bottle that sat there for like almost, 80 odd years. You can't do that in the game. You just can't. It's unrealistically to have those items last that long. So
Yep.
that's what I was saying. Like, they're going to have to make.
Yeah, and I think they'll
Compromises.
categorize items. Category A items last X
Mm.
time. I think they'll just cull them over time, and they've talked about that as well. They talked about going through and wiping out the superfluous stuff. But when you're talking about bases and the actual base itself, I think they're looking at that deterioration of a base, and if it's not being used and it's got no power, you're going to see the impact of the environment wearing down that base a lot more. If someone comes in and starts using the base, if it's been abandoned, and puts power in and starts restoring it, then that's no longer an abandoned base, it's a reoccupied base, and so it would give that change of stuff as well. So I don't think they're going to go for a cull to wipe bases. I think they'd look at systems that would wipe out the smaller stuff. But yeah,
I'm just trying to follow what's going on in chat. Bowler's talking to someone, and they seem to be having a bit of a negative time. So I just wanted to see who they were and see what they're having problems
be
with.
careful lest we silence you both.
No, they're not fighting. I guess,
Okay,
but
that's good.
still, the backlog has me more worried about abandoned ships. So, all right, okay, we can address that, right? Abandoned ships. All right, Jax is here. Serious face now.
Yep.
Right, abandoned ships. I don't think they're abandoned. I think you've got to look at everything in a priority order, and I think the real prime example that me and you always talk about is the Endeavour, right? And the Caterpillar's another one that's up there. You've got to understand how they're working on things. Obviously, bigger ships instantly drop down the list because you don't want to be. Well, look at the Reclaimer we talked about earlier, right? It's just understanding how they're being built. You comfortable, sir? Right.
Yeah.
You say your piece
so
on
the classic is the Caterpillar, because with the Caterpillar.
Sorry, I'm just reading what Pissball Pete said. He goes, "It's not abandoned. They're just waiting for a mate."
Yeah. They're just waiting for that time to work on them, or for the backlog, not the backlog, but the foundational tech that's needed for that, or the gameplay to come on.
How many ships have we seen that like sat there for years? Like the Banner Merchantman's a really good example. That's an awesome example, actually, because they wanted to do it and then the people left. That was completely out of their control.
Kind of put them back to stage one, and you need to then rebuild the teams and build up people's skills, and I think that showed them, okay, we don't want to just have people just working on one ship all the time. We want to actually spread them around and have them work on various things, so that you get the flavor of that workflow going through different teams. So yeah, I think the Caterpillar's a good example as well. We speculated that the Caterpillar's going to sit there because we've now got these variants.
Yeah, please, Leming.
John
yeah.
And
sorry, Leming wants to send us a graphic of the backlog. Yeah, absolutely, Leming. Actually, Leming, if you want, you can jump on and talk about it, man. Same with you, Pickles. If you want to jump in and chat, go nuts.
Yep. But we had, John and Ben basically said, "Oh no, it's still there. We're still planning to do the variant, the modules and stuff." But as you said, they're not priority. There's other things that take precedence on those.
It's like all that other stuff we've talked about too. And like if they haven't done an update to it, like Death of a Spaceman or whatever, like if they haven't updated us on it, it hasn't changed. But some people seem to think, oh, it's been 15 years. why haven't they talked about this? Therefore, it must be. That's an assumption.
Yeah.
Assumptions is the mother of all fuck ups. I don't know if you've heard that saying before, but it really is. You know.
Yeah. Oh, what was the thing we at CitizenCon when they did the going forward?
Yes.
You know, and they did that summary of where we were, where we are, where we're headed,
Mm.
and it basically just confirmed everything we'd said with a few things catching us, like, oh, we're going to be building star bases now. We're going to be building. We're going to be able to build capital ships. That they were changes that kind of went, huh?
Right.
But
so
nothing also changed.
So real quick, this is the backlog. I'm going to get Leming to explain it when it comes in 15 minutes. So we'll come back to that, right? So in 15 minutes, when Leming comes back. Right.
Lazarus, do you think we will see more upgrade kits like the Heartseeker? We'll probably see more kits like that. I do like the fact that the skin is there. I do like that it's no longer attached to the ship itself. I do like that it works on the other Hornets. So, yeah, I'd like to see more of those, and I think going forward we will. Radium TX, do you both think about yet another exploit being in game? Will this lead to yet another wipe? Yes. Look, my view is always expect wipes.
Part of development, and let's be honest, like once you realize what is beneficial to the game, you should be wanting to feed as much data to CIG as possible. It's like I would much prefer someone to cheat at the moment than cheat once the game is out, because then they've been caught with their hands down. I want to have all the gold farmers come out and farm all the alpha UEC they can, so CIG can see how they do it and ban their asses.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
I want all the bad shit out right now. That's what I want out.
Yep. I want you to cheat your butt off.
Yeah.
So that CIG can see how you're doing it.
Yeah.
And lock it down.
Yeah. So once it goes all live. For those that are asking, this is Jax. The emote in chat is modeled after him. He always keeps hurting his nose. He's always got a blood nose now. He gets in lots of fights. So yeah. But yeah, the little cat that does the salute, that's based on Jax.
There you go. And Leming is here. So
all right, we'll go back to it. Leming.
Yep.
That's what this is all about. And Leming's not talking. Right. All right. No. We'll wait till Leming gets here. All right. No, now he's here. You are terrible. Right. Yeah. We're making us do the dance. All right. We can hear now. Go for it, bro.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me get your screen up and I'll.
Yep. It's up.
Okay. Yeah. So if you look at the backlog.
Yeah, I'll go. Hey, Leming, if I go to this one, would this be easier for you? Hang on. This one here. How's that? Is that better?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's much better.
Yep.
So if you look at the backlog, there's really not a whole lot of ships here that are really a low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, they're all pretty deep. They all have gameplay requirements that have extra things.
Yep.
Like a really low-hanging one is like the G12, right? That's probably the lowest one I can see there, and I'm scanning through. But every UTV is another one that's low. But like you pick any other one, Spirit E1 needs AI. The Pioneer needs base building. The Apollo needs drones. You never needs modules out the arse. It goes on and on.
Let's just start back at 2012. So the Idris and its variant are locked behind Squadron 42.
Agreed.
We know when those are coming out. Merchantman, we know is frozen.
Yep.
The Orion, we know has zero need for it in the game that we have today.
Yeah, and it's a completely different form of base mining too, isn't it? So it needs all that extra gameplay. Yeah.
So then we have the first really interesting year, which is 2014. So we have the Crucible. I suspect that the Crucible is going to be completely and totally revamped, that the Crucible that we see right now isn't going to be anywhere close to what is actually going to come.
It's going to get the Pioneer treatment. Basically. Yep.
Okay.
So
they'll keep the style cues of it though, like they did with the Pioneer. They won't.
Yeah.
They'll try to keep the spirit of it. I think we would say, yeah.
Yeah. I'll keep the spirit, but it is going to get a redesign just because it's a very old design ship. So 2014 ships, they are like old metrics, old everything. So everything's got to change.
Yeah, it's got to grow too. I think we can all agree on that one.
Well, we know it's got to grow because they use the old Hornet in
I
the
think-
Scarab.
And I think it's probably much for the other two there, like the Genesis and the Endeavor. I think they potentially
Yep.
may go the same way as well, for exactly
Oh,
the same
100%.
reasons.
Well, we know from the Endeavour that CHG are going, we don't know, we're still trying to work out how we're going to do this. Are we just going to build a variance? Are we going to build, how are we going to deal with this monster of a ship that needs 50 million versions just to get the 3 or 4 versions we've got? So, if that makes sense.
So then we have 2015. So this is really the first low-hanging fruit, and there's only one, which is the Hull B. But the Hull B has a concept problem.
Ooh, I would not call that a low-hanging fruit. Because
right,
it
right,
needs
which is
to,
what I'm saying.
yeah, it needs to it needs to be able to land, and at the moment it can
Right.
only land on with 3 of them. It needs that 4th one. Me and Algared talked about this, didn't we, Algared? We
did.
think it's got to go to a dual spokes. So take the whole A essentially,
And
but it's
lengthen.
it's 2 of them, not just one. So it just has 2 both on the sides. So it's halfway between the A and the C essentially. That's how we think they'll end up doing it.
So I think that they'll have them on the sides and the top, and just get rid of the bottom one.
Or that's the alternative. Yeah.
That's the alternative.
But
as
at the
well.
but at the moment, the whole A just has 1, but it's on the top, bottom, left, and right. So our thought was, well, what if you compromise and just make it 2, but it's both just on the sides? You see where we're
I
going?
think the A is only on the sides.
Yeah, and that's what we're saying. So it's halfway between the A and the C, which
Exactly.
makes logical sense. But again, I wouldn't rule out what you suggested either. So
Nope.
yeah.
So then we have, so this graphic here is done by somebody on Reddit. His computer broke.
Oof.
Or I'm sorry, his internet broke, and he hasn't updated it since AIE. So that's why this is a little bit old.
So why aren't you
So
contacting
the-
him, getting him to post you a USB stick and updating it for him? But no.
So he said, then we have the D and the E.
Yeah.
Good God, we don't need those.
Not right now. No, that's
No,
they're
they are-
multi-system. That's like once we get to 50 systems, not 5.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we have the Polaris,
Which
the
is out.
Pioneer, and the Kraken.
Mm.
Yeah. I'm sure everybody wants them, but
I think the Kraken from our talks with Ben and John,
Mm.
I think they want that just as much as everyone else does, and I get a sneaking suspicion it's a part of episode 2. I just that's just the way my brain's working. I don't know if I could be off completely, but again, the way, especially Ben talked about it. You remember his eyes, Algared? They like he was just the passion was.
He was a Drake man.
Yeah,
he was a full-on Drake man, was my impression.
Yeah, he really was passionate about that thing, and I think again, having already seen the exterior of it at CitizenCon, I think it's definitely at least some form of asset in Squadron, but I don't think we'll be going on it. I think the next step would be to do the interior, and again, knowing that they're working on the Ironclad right now, the reason for or part of that reason is leading to the Kraken.
To the Kraken, and I think wasn't the Kraken on the blue silhouette curtain as well? So
no, that was
it wasn't.
that was the Ironclad.
Ironclad,
Algared, you're
fine.
getting excited and giving out false information. It's fine.
Sorry.
It's fine.
you know.
It's fine. It's fine. Just tease you.
so then we have the first real ship that could actually come out, which is the G12.
Mhm.
And then after that, we have the Apollos. We know that the Apollos.
I would argue that is low-hanging fruit, but it's like you've said about some of the other things. How required is that at the moment? The only real differentiating factor you get between that, a Cyclone, and an Ursa is the closed cab on an atmospheric environment. Now, we don't really have any acidic planets yet, as an example. That would be the most, like it protects you a little bit from the wind. You don't get anything different from that in an Ursa, right? So there's just no super need for that, again, but it is a low-hanging fruit because it is a vehicle. Would you agree with that? I'm not trying to shit on you, but what I'm trying to point out is that's why it's the last one to be done type of thing, because it's just not super needed.
It also was started, and something caused it to stop. So either it was CIG changing priorities and just saying, we don't really need this now, or they ran into a roadblock.
Well, I would argue you probably get more out of the G12R than you do out of the normal G12.
Yeah.
And the current thing with the G12 is it's actually wider than an Ursa in terms of the carriage. So what an Ursa will fit into, the G12 won't, just because of the width.
Yeah.
So I tend to think the G12 and the G12 variants are onboarding tasks. That's something you give someone who you're wanting to see. Okay, what can you do with Origin, and let them.
I think knowing that the cargo bay on the 600 grew, that the G12 is going to come out and it's going to be similarly shaped to the Nova, because we know that a Nova fits in the cargo bay.
That said, the G12 is slightly bigger than the Ursa, but they are both medium. They are officially the only two medium ships. I'm going to be honest, we need a lot more medium vehicles, just like we need a lot more large vehicles. There is realistically speaking, probably the biggest growth area in Star Citizen is vehicles. Let's be honest, right? We've got a lot more ships than we've got vehicles. We've still got and vehicles include all the Titan suits. We've got one. There's a lot more to go. So yeah,
indeed.
All right, what's next?
So just going down the list, we have the Apollos. Again, those are soon.
Okay, I've heard rumors that they've in the last few months. I haven't talked about this with you yet, Algared, either. But I've heard rumors that they have been done for a while, but they're waiting on drone stuff, and I think that's tied in with the building drones and stuff like you.
And we've talked about that as well. In terms of the drones, but initially being automated, and the fact that at least on what we saw. On what we've seen of the Apollo, they don't have a drone control station, so that to me
makes them simplistic.
Simplistic, automated.
As for the next one along the Vulcan, Leming, I think you would agree that they are a step up in drones over the Apollo.
Yep.
So that
that kind of takes drones and what they're needed to do and kind of turns it up another level.
So that kicks it down behind the Apollo, so to speak.
Now, could they bring out the Vulcan with automated drones? Just yes. But the full gameplay for any of those ships with drones, where you've got a drone control station, is the fact that you can actually remotely control them, and that I don't think they've got at present.
I mean, they could bring the Vulcan out and just give it magical beams, but oh my God, people would have pitchforks out.
Oh, it's the same thing with the Apollo, because they could just bring it out and just have the beds. But I think they've been saying for a while they want fully flinched gameplay. Like, to be honest, and I'll give and people go, oh, I don't agree with that. But the example that I would give is actually probably just here, the Marquee Mark, right? The Marquee Mark could have just come out and been a pew-pew ship, but they didn't release it because of bounty hunting. So they are holding off all gameplay. I think that just kind of shows you how much they have pivoted from releasing ships like the Reclaimer and the Carrack and things like that without all their gameplay. So
it used to be we'll release the ship if the gameplay's not there, but it can be functional in game. So Reclaimer got released because it could do cargo. Other ships got the Carrack got released because it could do cargo and pew pew, but it still missed a lot of its gameplay. They're actually seeming to go no. It's got to have its full gameplay, as you just said.
All right. I'm actually seeing this week's video in our future, Algared. I think we need to go through this and do this as an episode. But we'll finish. But I think we'll come back and do this. Leming, do you want to join us this weekend for an episode? And you can go through this with us as an episode. We'll do that then.
Yeah.
All right. Right. So the Ranger. That was because that is different from all the other bikes and it's on the surface. I think we'd agree on that one, yeah?
Yep.
We did see it in an ISC, 2 years ago now?
Yeah, possibly.
It was a while ago now.
More.
It was just this little blurry pixel bike in the background in one of the ISC shots. I don't even think it was moving. It was really, really long time ago. The Nautilus, again, it's just a priority order thing. It is not really needed right now. Again, that's one of the ones they can pick up whenever they specifically just want to do that thing. Mines are not that hard to do. It'll be more the animations of them dropping and being collected by the ship. But again, you can treat it like a cargo box that just arms and disarms itself. So really the tech is kind of already there for that. The sentries are a little different, but you just treat them like a cargo box until you activate them. And then they just become the same sentry turrets that we already have around the station. So realistically, there's not a lot holding that Nautilus back now I think about it, other than priority order. And I'll put that to you boys. Where do you... It doesn't seem too high priority to me.
No. I would see that coming out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go, Lemmy. No, go.
I see zero need for it until after the Pioneer is out.
That's what I was going to say. I think it's tied to base building because then you want
Yep.
base defense.
Yeah, it's
so-
the defense of the base or stations or other things, and so it is a low priority.
Raelian, it's the special cargo boxes. We talked about this last week and how they stack. It's just changing how they stack, so that's totally a possibility as well, unless you see it different, Leming.
I don't think the Raelian is coming out anytime soon. I know we've talked about this and we disagree with it, which
That's
is
fine.
completely fine.
Totally fine.
But I don't think it's coming anytime soon.
Can you explain why, though, so people can understand your perspective?
Yeah, they're having a hard enough time with square boxes. Triangle boxes can land on every side. They can bounce around more. There's a lot more physics with a triangle than a box.
It's just the snapping. So at the end of the day, it's just how they snap together. And instead of snapping straight, they snap at angles. So you've got to snap to 2 triangles instead of snapping to 1. I can see your point, but I don't think it's as complicated as you think it is. But they definitely do bounce around more. I will give you that. But again, there's 2 different perspectives there. You make of it what you will. If it comes out when Leming says, I won't be surprised. If it comes out when I say, I also won't be surprised. So I think we'll agree.
I won't be surprised if it's sooner than what I think it is.
Yeah, it's probably up in the air. We'll just leave that one a little bit up in the air. The Expanse, they talked about that becoming the game really quickly because it was really just taking what was on the stations and coupling it over and then adding a bit of gameplay. And I think the thing that's holding that back is that gameplay. What is that gameplay when you're actively working on a refining? And I think that's what's holding that back.
And I think they want it to be more engaging than just putting it in and leaving a timer. They want it to be you're interacting with it and to make it fun. Because that's a game. You want it to be fun.
So does anyone want to enlighten Pissball Pete to this terrible statement that he's made? Oh no, a minefield. I'm in space. I just go around. Who in chat wants to tell him how he has looked at that incorrectly about the mines in Star Citizen, as they have been described? Do you guys know what I'm trying to say?
Magnetic mines.
Yeah, they're essentially they move towards you. And not only that, they're also sentries, not just mines. So they will shoot at you, and if you then go to like by the time you see them, they're probably coming at you.
Yeah, because they're smaller, they're more stealth, they're shielded. It's
What's
a bit
that
like
thing? Galaxy Quest.
Galaxy
Dragon
Quest, yeah, and you've seen the same type of thing in Star Trek, in in the.
It hurts. You have to forgive Algared. It's hard for him to think. He's old. Yep. It hurts.
It is true.
And
Orville, the Orville Star Trek. You've seen it in every franchise. So yeah.
Go ahead, Lemmy.
And I mean, his statement of "Oh, I'll just go around it" is fine. And again, please don't take this as an attack,
No, take it as an attack. Take it as an attack. It's a full-on attack.
Say you have to go there. Say that's where your objective is. Going around it isn't an option.
It's a really good point. Yeah, like they're not just going to go, oh yeah, we'll just randomly select these mines here on this kids crossing. No, they're going to put it where on valuable stuff that you need. Yeah, absolutely.
And usually they're going to be placed in the place where they don't want you to go. They actually want you to go around into the kill zone. So, or they work as a sentry to say, hey, we're under attack, guys. Let's man our stations. So
I do reckon that'll be a thing, actually. So, who was mentioning that in chat? I missed who it was. Architect TV. You mentioned. Long story short is that they'll have something that pulls you out of quantum in the middle of a minefield. Like that is such going to be a thing. Like you've got to go in and take out that so you can get out of there. Absolutely.
Yep, I can see that.
Somebody in chat asked, "What's the marky mark?"
The marky mark is the it's a Zeus Mark II marquee. Yeah, and it's too much of a bloody mouthful, so I just call it the marky mark because it's marquee and it's the Mark II, so marky mark, right? And again, I come up with we're Australian, we come up with shorthands for everything, right? So that's why people call me X, not execute. That's why I call him Al, not Algared, things like that.
Because we're lazy.
Yeah, we're lazy bitches. So but maybe we should just start calling Leming Lem.
Yeah, Lem.
I think my I think my name on YouTube is Lim.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So when I win the Paladin next week and it says Lim, then you'll know it's me.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. All right. Well, then we'll know. All right. Leming, you sent me that
cancel
image.
Lem from the list. Right.
All right. Right. You're being a bitch, Algared. That's normally reserved for me. It's a riot.
I've just
for a copy
been
of that.
hanging around with you too long.
Yeah, it's fine. We're rubbing off on you. So that I've just posted that in Twitch directly at It's Just a Riot because he asked for it. So I'll also post it in YouTube. But that's the image. I have seen this image before. Credit where credit's due. What's the guy's name? He's got his name on it.
I'm going to actually share the link to the guy's profile in chat.
Twitch and YouTube or whatever. Yep.
Yeah. Just so that credit goes where credit is due.
Yeah. Because again, when someone works hard on something like this, I definitely want to see.
It's an absolute bitch when someone else just takes their credit. And...
So we don't want to take their credit. We want to give credit. Because it happens to us, and we would not like to do it to others. It does happen sometimes. Like I'll go grab a screenshot, and I got fully attacked for it because it was like some other guy's screenshot. And I was like, whoa, bro, no point. Like he sent like all these people into the comments. I'm like, dude, just contact me and say, hey, that was my screenshot. And I gave them credit. But like the way he went about it, I will never use one of his screenshots ever again. It was hostile. No. It was not polite. Like it was just assumed that I was being evil and all that. And it's like, no, it was just like totally didn't even know it was yours. Like I use a program, like you can actually see it up there. It's so this little screen thing up here, you click it, right, and it just does a gallery of the website you're on, and you can literally just grab all the images. Really handy when you're on the Robert Space Industries website because they hide a lot of their images in in things. So if I go, like, let's just go into the Valentine's Day, for example, and they have all these borders and stuff. And so by using this, I can actually, so do those two because I didn't load the whole page. Hang on.
You can get the image without the border.
Oh, what's that called?
It's called, that's a really good question. I found it. I had to go look for it. More tools. I got to go into extensions. Hang on. Where is it? Settings. More tool. No. Where is it? Now you've asked me a really tricky question. Extensions. It is called Download All Images. Is what it's called. And
a really original name.
Yeah, it works. So you got to let it load everything. So you can see up here at the top here, it's loading them all. So it does take a little minute to grab them, but you can set it to the size that you want to grab and stuff like that. So when I grab them, right, if it's from a community post and it says this image is by person that took the photo, I can't see that name because I never ever see it. I just come straight in here and I'm just grabbing everything off the entire page. So when I get attacked like that, it's not like I'm being nefarious. It's just that I never did it by normal means. So here, and now I can just open a new tab, open a new tab, open a new tab, open a new tab. And then there's all the images and you can see they put all their own shit on it. So I'm trying to find ones that don't. So that's one that I would save, you know.
Because it doesn't have any stuff on it.
Yeah, like this. So again, and again, I'm also, Algared will tell you, I also do grab ones like this, and then I'll spend hours removing their shit. Yep. Right? Like I will go through and I will cut all their crap off. Like I've spent quite a bit of time making. There's one that we made earlier this year, the space whale. Right now, there is only one real image of that space whale, but I went through and I reconstructed all the clouds. I changed the angle of it all.
Got rid of it. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and it takes time, but that's if you want a thumbnail that is different, if you want a thumbnail, sometimes you've just got to put in the work to get a thumbnail that nobody else has, and that's just reconstructing their images. I also can cheat a little bit because I can hide things under
our frames,
under the hexagons,
the hexagons as well,
or under yours and mine's ugly mug. But again, if I make this one, see, I can't hide anything. Right. So yeah. All right.
Yep.
The backstory. Anyway, where we were up to. Yep. Go.
Radium has a question for us.
Yep.
Hypothetical.
Wait. We still got these to go. What are you talking about?
Okay, sorry. I thought
Leming hasn't finished. You are so rude. So rude. All right, go. Continue, please, Leming.
Finish off the last few.
So then we were at the Rangers. We did those more G12s. Perseus. Is that what's next? I think.
Yep, that's the one.
The Perseus. We know.
Yep.
That is probably coming this year or possibly next. The Liberator, we've heard absolutely nothing about, and now we're in recent.
Yeah, and now we're in recent ships, so it's not really a backlog.
Yeah. Exactly.
And also add the Liberator is probably not that complicated compared to other ships because it's just ship platforms and vehicle bays. Like it's essentially it's like the Polaris hangar times 5. Like there's not a lot to it.
It's just a warehouse with engines on it.
Yeah.
And then as you can see, the Spirit came out 2 years ago. So yeah, I would agree. The Odyssey the year before that. The Odyssey is much like the Polaris. It's just a need. I just don't think there is. Well, again, until we have bases, that's after that. It's much like the
and the Odyssey is more a need for its gameplay scanning. And
so it's much like the Nautilus, though. You need the bases, like you need to be able to build bases to find where you're going to build them. So it's a cart for the horse problem. So I'd expect the Odyssey to be much like the Nautilus in that regard.
Yep.
Well, this is out of date. Mystery ship.
Yeah. And I mean there's concepts from both SitCon and IAE that aren't on here, but I mean this gives the point.
Yeah.
So when people cry about the backlog of ships, it's not really that long. I mean,
and then if you're not complaining about an emergent or an Endeavour or something like that, then you're really talking about modern ships. Like I've heard people complain like Ironclad's not here yet. Like, come on, it's not even a year old.
Those people, I think, are new to the project.
Absolutely.
It's that meme with the guy that's up on the gallows, and it's like, oh, first time here.
Yeah, it really is that. So,
right, so the reason they're pausing is because I'm counting. There's 29, not including variants.
I was wondering what the hell Nick's doing.
I wanted to know. 29. There's 29 of them, right? So if you don't count duplicates like the 2 Apollo variants or the 2 Idris variants or the multiple, I did include the E1. There are no other variants, but I didn't include all the Zeuses and stuff like that, but 29. So yeah, that's not very many, really, considering like how far back they go is 13 years of ships. That's pretty good. And again, you do some of those and you knock off the variants. We already, as we went through, there's a lot of them already coming. And when you understand why they're not coming, it's not that bad. It really isn't. And I think they are working on the ones. Like how long did the X1 take? Was it 6 years? 6 years for the X1. Or 7? Was it 6 or 7?
I mean,
years?
it's on there somewhere. I want to say it was a 2015 chip, but I'd have to look at the image to find it.
So you said 2015?
I think it was.
I can't see anything that says X1. 85X. No. 135C. Yeah, I can't see it. But the point I'm trying to get to. So this is the years that they come out in, right? So this is when. So that was 2019 for the Ranger.
So
this was in 2017. So that's been what, 8 years? Okay.
So this isn't the year that they were announced in. This was the year that they were first shown in. It says up at the top.
Okay.
Drawn by the year where they were first mentioned.
Well, because that actually means then that wasn't really officially announced, because that's when those two announced the G12. So that wasn't that wasn't 2017. That was 2020. So that's only been 5 years. Okay, right. Okay, so that, because I wouldn't do it when they were first mentioned. I would do it when they were concepted.
Yeah,
because that makes it far more confusing. Because you could essentially go, the Odyssey is a survey ship. Survey was mentioned, and it's like way.
Yeah.
So where do you put the stick there? Just do it when it was officially announced. That's where I'd put it. So that would be the one, sir, who has made this image, who I do not know the name of. That is the one change I would make to this. That is your feedback.
Who doesn't have internet right now?
Yeah. Yes, I'm sure you will see this when someone clips it and links it to you. but no, I'd make same feedbacks to Grim
Yep.
as well when he makes images like of the fleets and stuff, because everyone sees it differently. But I think the official way would be how most people would see it. So yeah.
Yeah. How long it's been since this ship was concepted, because that's really when they,
Yeah,
done.
that's
And
the fair way to do it.
yes, the G12 did originally officially come out, or was billed coming out with the 600, but even then it was it was not concept. It was just the G12 ship, G12 vehicle will come out with the 600i
Right,
Explorer, and that was kind of it. So.
Right, so I'm just looking here real quickly. The September 28th, 2013. That can't be right.
Which for the
What the hell? The
X's?
The X1, a pre-sale for the X1 was September 28th, 2013. It's the X1 from 2013? Holy shit, Batman. That can't be right. It's not
can't be right.
It's not the concept sale. It was a pre-sale. So I'll bring it. That does not flick with my
concept
memory.
Sale
Are we really that old, Algared? Wow.
The concept sale was the 28th of the 9th, 2017.
What, 27? Yeah, but that's clearly an X1.
Yep.
And look at the date.
Yeah.
2013. So they had an inkling of what it was going to look back.
Yeah.
That's scary. I just searched.
And it really didn't change much.
No, it really didn't.
Well, as we keep saying, unless they tell us.
Yeah, so it says 24th of September 2017 was that post about the concept sale. So yeah. So yeah, damn, in 5 years it didn't change much at all. Right. Anyway.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll probably do a proper episode on this weekend. So if you don't want to see that tough titties, you just saw it now. But we'll try and get together the Leming and go through that again. Because I think explaining the backlog to people is probably going to be really good for those that are newer to the project. Much like
and what we'll do is, as we go through, because as we just found out, this is when they were first mentioned, we'll go through and look at these ships in terms of their concept sales and how long it's been. So do a slight nuance on that.
Who was the gentleman that asked that question? Because that really kicked off a
long discussion. Yeah.
Do you remember who it was? Was it on? I don't know. Whoever asked it,
it was
just at Inforunners and remind us, because I'll probably bring you up during the video, because that really kicked off a big chat. Yeah, good question. Really, really good question.
Yeah, it was one you took from chat, I think.
Oh, was it? Okay, well, whoever it was, just at me, at Inforunners in whatever chat, and so we can see who it was. Right.
Radium.
Yep, go for it.
Has a question. Hypothetical scenario. We did that one.
Did we?
CRG has run its course. CRG has announced the game and studio being shut down. No, we haven't answered that one. What games available in 2025 will Inforunners begin to cover?
I don't know. I think part of the reason why Inforunners works is because it's a game that me and Algared share in common. It would have to, if we did do another game, it would have to be a game that we share in common. We share many other games in common, not particularly.
No, we've dabbled. I've dabbled in Hunt Showdown. I've dabbled in Echo. That's about it, really.
Yeah, it's a mutual thing. So I'm not sure how that would go. It's one of the reasons why we just stick to Star Citizen. We don't do other. You see other Star Citizen content creators that are this week they've been playing Kingdom Come
The Witcher.
Deliverance 2.
The Witcher.
Yeah. The board game.
We'd be streaming. Streaming the board game, The
true.
Witcher and Hunt.
Yeah. So when I went up to Algared's, we sat and played Hunt. Not Hunt. Sorry. The Witcher. The Old World. The board game.
That was a good game.
It was a good game. We enjoyed that. We've got a few other board games that we'd play. So yeah, maybe we'd do something board game related. Yeah. That is another interest we share in common. That's for sure. UV Way says, first time chatter on Twitch says, let's go. That used to be in my jam. He's talking about Hunt. Let's go. That used to be in my jam. Yeah, one of the most complicated extraction shooters out there, but a highly enjoyable game when you learn how to play it. There's just nothing else quite like it. And I think it's those old school guns that really sell it. So yeah, want to try something difficult but fun. SA loves to play that, by the way. Massively into that.
It doesn't surprise me at all, but yeah. North End Trooper, I think we've answered his question, which is they say 3 ships are coming to the game shops. Do we know what ships they are? And I'm pretty certain we answered that one.
Yep.
Father and Son Gaming says, how long will it take for personal hangars to become persistent? I spent 3 hours decorating my hangar at my starting location with all the flares, and the next day the hangar was empty and all the items were gone, even on the hangar inventory.
It's going to keep happening. It's going to keep happening, bro. Yeah, I think the hangars will update and change too. I think they've realized little mistakes they have now, like there's not enough room around the outside. Like the way people have been putting vehicles almost like their garage bays around the outside. They'll probably add little modules so you can actually have little garages, especially on the bigger ones. You kind of saw plans to that effect at CitizenCon where they were talking about putting in the landing area, like so you could have like an area control. Like at the moment, you kind of got like silhouette of people that are there watching you land and stuff, but they actually want to, actually plan that all out. That's clearly what they're leaning towards in the essentially taking the landing zones and putting them inside space stations, and they're run by us and NPCs and stuff like that. You can see the plans. They're just going to be rolling it out slowly over years.
Yeah.
I could see them moving to like more of a modular room system, because we know that that's been worked out, and that's much easier to map too.
Yeah, we know from way back that one of the rooms is the photography room.
Yep.
Which we were going to get in our bases, so we can actually sit there and map out our.
Well, right now they have a medical elevator. Why couldn't you eventually turn that into an actual private medical?
Straight to the hospital.
Can't you have an extended cargo storage area? So again, these are all things that you could spend your money on to essentially increase. And what happens, Algared, remember the old org hangars? I'm seeing it right now, where it's a massive hangar, like the interior of like a Bengal or something like that, where you come in and there's literally shelves for you to land your ships on. There's a massive cargo storage area where the whole org can store their shit. You can see it now. And org hangars will be a thing. And you got to remember, we literally have planets as containers that you could literally build an entire org hangar in, and again, we've now got instances as well. Like, you do the math, it's not rocket science. We have a lot of space that we can put under the ground to build things. They even previously took was it IAE? They took the expo and put it in the center of the planet, so it was away from New Babbage. Now, they could do that. Look at all the space they have. Anyway,
they've got. The container system is great because it just enables you to hide boxes in boxes in boxes in boxes, and
not to mention asteroids and all the other jibby jab. Yeah.
Monster AV says, with the changes to the Heartseeker, do you think they would do that to others like the Titan variants, EMP, and prisoner pods are basically sitting on the cargo grid? Yep.
Third time we've went over that one, but they can do whatever they want. But look, I think we kind of said earlier, I'd be talking them away from being that expensive. I think they've $30 has really pushed the limit.
Yep.
Really, really has. And not only that, you get the ball turret with it, but the ball turret doesn't work on all the variants. So you're buying a skin and a gun, but if you want the skin for a tracker or for a ghost, the turret doesn't work on that. So that's a bit stuffed. You're paying $30, but only getting half the benefit. So they really need to split those, personally.
Yep. Nope, 100% agree. I'll do something in the background. Okay, Sapper in a Shelby. Do you think CIG will get around to creating a smaller dropship or team dropship vehicles akin to a Little Bird helicopter or other smaller craft for use on ships like Polaris or Carrack? Yes.
I think a lot of those smaller things will come with vehicles, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, we'll see other ships that are those smaller drop ships. I think I wouldn't be surprised to see a Terrapin variant that does that as well.
Yeah, agree with you on that one.
Isn't that the MPUV that he's describing, or he or she is describing?
It could very well be a small MPUV because we've used that well, I always used it in the past like that.
So one of the ships, Agent Letty talked about when he was on an episode with me and Moist Noodle was taking a cutter and essentially stripping all the internals out, and it was like a cutter steel. Now, a really cheap, dirty dropship is exactly what you want. It is an A to B vehicle, and it's completely expendable, right? And then
they can charge $200 for it.
No, they can't. Don't give them ideas. But like that just magnetically attaches to the hull of the ship, or it's got some kind of grapple thing that pulls itself to the other ship or something like that. Yeah, you could totally see how they could use that, and I think that is how some people want to do it, like dirty boarding tactics. It's something that we don't have. We've got all these hacking ships. What's the inverse of that? A ship that just magnetically attaches itself to the ship, and you cut in with like a butane torch type of thing, right?
Yep.
And you don't give a shit about an implosion or anything like that because you've got suits on and they don't, right? So that's going to be a thing too. We know they've got the Maelstrom system. Yeah, go at it.
And in law, the Prowler basically uses that type of stuff. They come up to a ship, they drop their troops off, they get there, they access the hatches, they go in and sabotage. The Tavaran were one, that was their gameplay. So yeah, I could see something like that. The cutter bus, yes.
Did they talk about the Maelstrom system at all at CitizenCon?
Not this year. No, they did not.
I didn't think so.
Recall.
I think it's been kicked down the road a little bit because you got to have the bases before you can knock them over. That thing. I think a lot of what they've kind of done in the last couple of years is literally like they've rolled out long-term plans they have, but then they've not had the dots connected, and then now they've had to work out how they've got to get to that, and then they've gone, oh shit, there's more steps than we thought there were going to be. Yep. So yeah. Next one.
Okay. Thanasis Calrentes says, greetings from Greece. Do you think when the Perseus releases, it will have various ammo for guns or in some future patch later? Yes.
I would be very hopeful that it does. Yeah. It doesn't technically require it though, does it, Algared? But no. I think it would be a disappointment for that ship just to literally have guns that fire and nothing else. It would be a bit of a what's the absolute basic variant you would accept? The ability for it to change between, say, 4 different gunfire modes that take 10 seconds. I think that's the most limited version of it I would probably accept, something like that.
Well, I think that the most limited version is just a one with standard stock standard ballistic ammo.
Yeah, okay, that's the.
But
I mean that you would accept.
But given that they've said it's got the ammo you can swap, I'd at least hope there's an AA version of the ammo.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, how would you implement that? And I think if they just made it so, if Mass 1 is fire, Mass 2 is change ammo type, but it's got some kind of timer or bar that comes up on your screen, and it takes that long to change the ammo, and then once it changes, then you can fire the different type, or you can cycle, or somehow you can choose the one you want and click accept, and then it takes a certain amount of time to change to it.
Yeah, I kind of hope that when it comes out, a bare minimum, we've got two choices of ammo, standard and AA.
Yeah, 2 at minimum.
Kind of shotguns it, and that way you could do that, but. It's supposed to have a variant. Given that the question was when it comes out, will it have a various types or in the patch future? Yes, it'll be one of those two. To be cheap on answering that question.
So we actually saw them changing ballistic ammo in the Squadron 42 demo.
Yep.
That's actually what he was doing. He was actually reloading the gun when it ran out of bullets.
This is true. So that feature is already in. It'll just be good.
Yeah,
well, good. I didn't think of that. You're right.
As I've said numerous times, I can remember when ballistic guns on our fighters used to have the ammo cases next to them, and you had to make sure the ammo cases were there. You could take them off and put them back, but if they weren't there, you couldn't fire. So
Just notice
that idea has been there for a while. So yeah,
what is that stick you've got, Algared? It's like your.
it's a pencil.
Yeah.
It's just
Mine's a
a lead
chopstick.
pencil. It's lead pencil, so I can actually write notes because occasionally,
Oh, okay.
as we're talking, we
'Cause
lose
you're
track
old.
of thought.
'Cause
But
you're old,
it
right?
it also becomes the fidget toy.
Yes. Okay. Right.
So
All right. Next one, please.
the next one is from Tesla Coil. Tesla Coil says, "Is it really going to be worth holding the Mark 1 Hornets if no work is being done with them? I feel like at some point do this to do systems and gameplay additions. They just feel janky to have."
So I think you would agree with me and Leming as well. That'll eventually they'll be rep grindable somehow in game, much like all the other ships in the game. They will be there as a prosperity thing. I think the real takeaway that most again, either you talk up if you disagree with this statement. Don't buy fighters, put them in game. It's that simple. Like again, if you haven't seen the buyer's guide on the Super Hornet, I will go to that real quickly because that image in that says it all. Give me a second. Back to it. It's this one.
Yeah, I was just gonna say hashtag sell your fighters. Have an exit plan for them. That's just where my mind goes.
Yeah. So this frame right here, I showed this to Pissport. Look, I can even do it myself. Look. Right? Algared, you gotta do your two. Other way, dickhead. Other way.
Sorry.
Other way.
Okay.
And two, your mic's showing. Algared got a mic.
Sorry,
So
my
Algared got a green mic cover, and it actually hides it in the thing, so his is invisible. So if you're wondering why his head's not there, it's because
if I do that.
Yeah. So this literally sells the whole thing, though, right? You've got a Heartseeker at $240 or an Andromeda
at $240.
Connie Andromeda at $240. Which one would you take? And it's so obvious that most people would take the one that's got the better value. And this is the whole thing about this is a part of the earn down economy, the sell your fighters. This is all the thing. This is the epitome of what we're talking about.
Yeah,
fighters are just not worth it for the money.
And you look at the weapons on them; they're similar or better. You're looking at missiles, better. You're looking at cargo space, better. You're looking at Does it mean they're crap? No.
I can't read who said it, but somebody says it in chat. Except if you're a PvPer. And
absolutely,
and I would.
That's what we say. Like again, if that is the ship for you, you get the ship for you. But you got to remember it's generalized advice. And the same person that said that would also say, generalistically speaking, that ship is better value than this ship.
Yep.
That's what you got to remember.
We're not talking value in game. We're not talking fun in game. We're not talking even the quality of a ship. We both like. I'll go back to that video. We both start off gushing over the Mark II. It's
probably going to be the best all-round fighter and most balanced in the entire game. But even then, when they're the same price, it don't add up. Your nemesis is in chat, by the way, Old Man Hurston.
I was gonna.
Old Man Arcos saying hello. Go ahead, Leming.
I was gonna finish and say, like, yes, agreed. If you're a PvPer, but if you're looking for value for your money, it makes zero sense to not have an Andromeda on your account and pay and buy a Hornet in game. It just doesn't. You're gonna have to earn money.
Yeah. So Kishkin brings up a point that a lot of people ask us, and I'm going to go into. So he says, "I'm for selling your fighters, but they need to make features for things beyond fighters." But guess what? Once those features are in, this will cost even more.
Yep.
The reason why these cost so much is they've got their features.
That's right.
So as more salvage comes in, as more mining comes in, as more, like, look at the Vulture as an example, that went up drastically. $30. It was such a price bump of a ship in that area. It should have gone up like $10, $15, not 30, right? And it's the same thing again. They've said since the beginning, as ships come online and they have their features, they'll go up in price. And that was one of the things we learned at CitizenCon. It's the whole reason why these are so expensive. It's the same thing as the alien tax, right? When they have their features, a lot of the alien ships are actually combat ships. That's why they're also so expensive.
And that's why we have a Cult of the Endeavor and a Cult of Crucible. Because
get it now, why
those
it's cheap.
Two ships are still at their original concept price.
Yep.
And they're going to go up in price.
Yeah, and Sir Berdicus points another thing out as well, along the lines of what I was saying. and Connie's will probably get a worthwhile update eventually. Yeah, and absolutely, we all know it's got struts out the wazoo. Look at the Polaris. You take the Mantis and the Polaris and look at their cockpits and stuff. You can totally see that, all the removing of a lot of the struts in the Polaris, a Pioneer, Andromeda. What the hell, man? I'm mixing all my ships up today. My own hand is annoying the shit out of me. I can't do what I do because there's a guy behind me mocking me. What a dickhead he is. But yeah, stop. High five.
I've got to say, that guy behind you does a very good impersonation.
Oh, he's got his eyes closed. What a dickhead. Anyway, right. Anyway, but yeah, you get our point. I because that was the real big takeaway for me of that video. What was, like, that's the epitome of the whole sell your fighter things. Best fighter you could probably get all round in the entire game, and it still doesn't compare to the Connie. And the best thing about it is they are the two most iconic ships in this entire game. Right. And you cannot look at them in any other way than those two most iconic ships. And they literally speak to what we like, the core of what we try to teach.
They are two of the first 5 ships back in the day. X remembers this slightly different. I remember it as 3 F7As or 3 F7Cs would be equivalent to a Connie, Andromeda, and would win 50% of the time.
How about we just call it
X remembers it as 2, but it's basically
let's just call it 2.5 and stop arguing about it.
Yeah, but it was multiple Hornets would go up against a Connie and win 50% of the time. Yeah. And it was that whole idea
that it's more than one.
Yes,
and
that's all you need to worry.
That whole idea of the price of a ship and the crew of a ship kind of balancing out, and that was the idea that Connie has more expense, more crew. It's going to be harder to kill than a single fighter.
That's interesting. Tomification in chat says John Crew confirmed the 2 engines Hornets as being possible in the PU. Yeah, well, anything's possible. Can you link us that, please, Tomification, if you happen to have that link? Because that'll be something that I've got to suck into my memory bank. But I'll only suck it in if I can see an official source.
Because I can remember when we were talking to John Crew and Ben, they basically said, no, it's just a
Squadron 42 asset.
A Squadron 42 asset.
Yeah, anything's possible.
Anything is possible. So, yeah.
So first time chatter on Twitch, Midfield Marauder says, what about the purpose of a ship, though? The Connie isn't a pure combat ship. No, that's absolutely true. But again, you've got a 4-person large ship versus a 2-person small ship, and they cost the same.
And the Connie, when it was first brought out, was a space superiority ship.
Yeah. And I don't think anyone would argue you can do so much more. Like, the Connie is such a more versatile ship than the Hornet. The Hornet is just shooty, and that's it. Right? The Super Hornet. And then the Connie can shoot. It can transfer cargo. It can transfer vehicle. It's got the Merlin that hangs off the back. You can go further in it. You can actually go places. You add all those up, and it just does not compete. And
in terms of gameplay options, yeah.
And then at dollars, like, realistically, I would expect the Super Hornet to be a quarter of the price, if not even half, of what the Connie is. Just on players alone. Not even looking at any of the other features, just the number of people, at least half. So,
yeah, 100%.
And I don't even know what Leming, are you able to look this up for us, just while we're doing stuff? The price in game of the old Super Hornet, because we won't be able to do the new one. The old Super Hornet versus the Connie.
Yeah, I can look it up.
Because I think you'd be surprised just how out of whack. And the reason we do this a lot is because it shows you what the designer's intentions are, not the marketing team. And when you look at the designing intention, like remember the old one with the Prowler and the Hoplite? And how Paul was like, COG wouldn't do that to me.
Paul's shock, heart palpitations reaction to realizing.
I still get giddy when I go back and watch it. It's so funny.
Yeah. It's like, oh, no. Okay. He says, no. Yeah. No, don't be daft. And it was like,
right, go for it.
There you go.
Go, Leming.
So for the F7CM Super Hornet Mark 1 in game, it's 4.7 million.
Yep, so almost 5. Yep. And the Connie?
And the Andromeda is 10.1.
Point proven. And that's not even with rebalances or anything like that, but it proves the point, yeah.
Yeah.
They see it as half the value, but the marketing team do not. That's our whole point. When we talk about fighters, they are just not where the designers even intend them to be, and that's the problem. They are funding a game, that's fine and fair enough, and they're trying to get as much money out of us as we can. But also, when you are buying in complete fleets, and a lot of us are, because we've been here for a really long time, once you go over one ship, you are better to consolidate those ships into a bigger ship, and I think we'd all kind of agree on that. I know you might want different gameplay, but again, you can earn down and across. Sideways, So, if you want salvage and mining, get the bigger salvager potentially, whatever your favorite is, the bigger miner or the bigger salvager, and then earn back down to the other two.
Yep.
Leming, sorry.
So if you do have a Super Hornet now, and let's say you were, let's say that you had a lapse of judgment, it's not necessarily that they're bad chips in game right now. What you need to think about is having a plan to exit it. So like,
yeah, absolutely.
The Super Hornet Mark II is 240. Do you want to know what's 250? The Corsair.
There you go. That's absolutely true. You could buy a Super Hornet right now and then pick up a CCU and have that as your exit strategy. It's like, well, I'm only a solo player right now. I really like combat, but I know I want to play with teams down the road. Absolutely. That's another thing we talk about. There is no excuse now. Like we've gone back now, and I think we've plugged pretty much every hole to essentially explain that you cannot have your cake and eat it too. Like you can do anything you want now. It's just a bit of planning, a bit of structure, and you'll be able to get everything you want. Me and Algared, I think we've been through almost every permutation you could possibly want to go through with a Fix My Fleet now. Yeah.
Yeah, I would go that. We've even done packs, so yeah, I think we've done everything.
He proved me wrong twice, so it's worth it. But yeah.
And to talk about in-game prices, the MSR is 12.2 in-game.
Yeah.
So again, it's
and that's 260, so that's $20 more. Yeah.
Exactly.
You've got the other Connie variants there as well. I think even the video I even bring up the F8 and the Redeemer. Right, it's the same thing there. You're looking at two combat ships, right? So here's another example. There's a $30 difference between those two. You've got a solo F8C versus a Redeemer that's got 4 people in it. And I also chucked the Paladin in, because when the Paladin finally comes out, it will be the same price as the Redeemer at $330. So you're
pretty correct there as well, yeah.
So you've got two ships for $30 more that have 4 people as opposed to 1. You have got rocks in your head if you think that this is not now concrete information, because I think that really confirms where it's been going, that fighters are just ridiculously overpriced. Cleveland Bard, you need to go to the YouTube channel and leave a comment on the Super Hornet buyer's guide if you would like to be in the giveaway. That's how we do them here. We do them on the YouTube channel, because then we just draw all from one place. Until we get a bot up, we can do both. Yeah.
But yeah, so we're never saying the ships are bad. We're never saying the fighters are bad.
Bad value, Hornets, not bad.
Yeah, bad value. I won a Guardian at the.
Didn't give it away. He kept it. He's already got every ship in the game, but he kept it.
People said, but you're on record saying it's shit, and I said, yeah, it is for price.
Yeah. You should just turn and said, do you think it's going to stay a Guardian? That's what I would have done.
Yeah. No, but they asked me, is it going to stay Guardian? Are you going to CC? And I said, no, because I have, unfortunately, the curse of, Pokemon syndrome.
Algared, just for, do you want to redo the giveaway stuff, because there's people in Twitch asking about it?
If you want to win our Heartseeker, you go to our video, which was the Super Hornet Mark II Buyer's Guide and Giveaway. You'll find that in our YouTube list. All you need to do is leave a comment on that video, and you will go into the draw for that.
At the end of the stream. So in the next, probably in the next half an hour. So yeah, I'll probably next 15 minutes
time to get in there.
Yeah.
But if you'd also like to be in a chance to win a Paladin, then go to our stream on the what do we call it? Basically, the ship showdown version of where all the Inforunners kind of have a go at saying rating every ship. leave a comment there, and you'll be in the running to win the Paladin. So that's all you have to do. Don't worry about putting giveaway in the chat because we don't ever pay attention to that.
Right.
I've got to admit, Slave Gunner, that CitizenCon did probably do the biggest breaking of my Pokemon syndrome.
How did it do that, Margaret?
Because the cost of getting there was expensive.
Yeah.
To say the least. So
I think it, like, I've thought about it from a speculation point of view. Most of our audiences from the United States, they would have backed us a lot more if we were going to the United States rather than going to England. I do intend to attend a US one for that exact reason. I want to go meet our viewers. That's the whole reason I went in the first place. If I was to go back to England, it would be for the same reasons, or it would be to get the information like we did this time. Because we went, I don't know how to put it. I don't think we go harder than most people. I don't know, but we went after people. You know, we said, we really want to talk to you. We really, we did things that I don't think other people tried to do. A lot of what we planned didn't work out. But we definitely learned from it and would be more prepared next time.
And I think we certainly got more opportunities to. Well, we certainly ended up talking to devs a lot more than I think a lot of other people. So we ran into to Aaron and Brian Chambers at least half a dozen times, I reckon. And that's what it felt like, So just because we knew who they were, just because we knew them. Or because we knew them, we were able to get that those opportunities. So, but yeah, I think we probably did track down people a lot more than some others, just because of reasons A, B, or C. But yeah,
right. I'm gonna try this differently. I actually messaged Grim, and I got his comment picker. So this is the comment picker that Grim uses. This could go horribly, horribly bad. We might get a bot. We might get something really bad. So I don't know how to do it, but here we go. We're gonna draw it now. So here we go.
So if you're putting in now, you've probably missed out.
The shark's going right. Carl Johnny Larson 2 days ago. So first of all, great channel. I think it's a bit silly that a light medium fighter have more firepower than a heavy fighter like the F8C. Okay, well that is the personal one. So Carly Johnson, I will be going into the comments, and I will be messaging that person.
And while you're doing that, I'll go to a question. We had one from Sangroper, which said, did we get an explanation from CIG on why we didn't get any videos this week? None that I'm aware of.
Wait, yeah, there was no videos this week. That's right. We've been gypped.
Yep.
Ubu. Why do I really think they owe us one?
Oh, they don't know. They don't owe us anything, really.
Yep.
But yeah, I just implied once IC started up again, I just assumed it would continue. But yeah,
I think they're nose down right now in fixing bugs. And
4.0 to 0.2.
anything.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. Right,
Ubu has a question. When looking at the hull C versus the hull D, I see the cargo holding amount is drastically bigger. What else is added to the hull D to make it worth it? More cargo? And the hull D is even bigger again. But that's why the hull D and the E are not priority builds. They are more the ships you use for going into system and doing inter-system trade runs rather than just interplanetary trade runs. But what else is added? Can't tell you, because basically all we've got is the on-paper stuff, and they are very similar. The history of those ships is the concept artist was asked to do the C, and they came back with the whole plethora, the A, B, C, D, and E. And CIG went, they are cool, and added. So, yeah.
I'm having a lot of trouble finding this comment. I don't know how to do it. There used to be a way to filter search, value, apply. God damn it!
Nope.
All right, I'll have to find it after stream.
Yep. Citizen Ninja has a question for us. It's how long will we have to wait for Origin's answer to the Intrepid having a better interior than the 300 series, and how deep is your yearning for another Origin ship on a scale of 100 to 110%?
Oh, about this deep?
Yep. This is a safe space. Don't deny yourself a pleasure.
Yeah, what was the question again? What ship was the ship?
Any Origin ship, basically another Origin ship.
I think my statement is a lot of people think that I hate Origin. That is not the case. I've talked about this at length with Leming because Leming's a big he's a big Origin fan, but I think their heyday is yet to come. I think they will get a lot of stuff like the shop ships. I think they will come around again. Restaurants, high-end fashion. Leming, yep. I'll put that off to you too, Leming. Do you think that's something that will happen to Origin ships? There are more ships to come than the very boring bullshit we've got right now.
Yeah, well, I don't agree with that, but
you know what I mean, though. Like, they're lackluster compared to what they could be. Is it?
Yeah. So if I remember right, there was, because we got that 4-point matrix where, and I don't think Origin was all the way luxury.
No.
I think Origin I think had some commercial application.
Oh, halfway between. That's what surprised me. They were halfway between luxury and commercial, and I was like, "What the hell? If that's halfway, where's the other half of the ships?"
Where's the commercial aspect?
Yeah, which we don't have. So there's something planned for Origin. We just don't know what it is. But I think most people that have watched any video that I've talked about an Origin ship, I don't think Origin needs that much more. However, the changes that they made to the 400 when they were looking at components was puzzling, because it's supposed to be all about like redundancy and all of that, and all of that was removed. I'd like to have an answer to that as to why.
And yes, I agree, the interior of the 300 is a bit lackluster, and we can get the variants and the color coding and do the aftermarket sales, which they experimented with. But the 100 series really showed those interiors what they could be. They were just smaller scale, but they were really good. The 400's interior again kind of did that. But as you said, Leming, the durability of the ship seemed to go down with the redundancy being taken away. I expect that what we'll find is that Origin ships will be the opposite of Drake ships in terms of their ability to sustain or need repair. So it'll take a long time for an Origin ship's components to wear out, but then it's going to cost you an arm and a leg to fix them. Whereas a Drake ship, they'll run out a lot quickly, but then repairing them will be a lot easier or quicker because you'll just be, bit of gaff tape type stuff.
So there were some pretty major changes to the hangar in the past couple months. I'm sure everybody's noticed that, and they've changed a lot of stuff. And that further kind of pushes the point, at least to me, of there's a possibility that the entire 300 series gets renamed the 200 series. And all of your current 300s become 200s, and then a new 300 series is put in between them, because there's not that much difference between a 100 and a 300. There's a huge difference between a 300 and a 400.
No, I agree. I always thought the 100 series shouldn't have been built because it was so much like the 300 series. And you had the 85X and the M50 that were the smaller ships that really were, in a sense, initially viewed as being snub ships, but the second they gave them jump drives and jump capability and quantum drives, that pushed them into that. It really pushed them up into that 100 series bracket. So, but yeah. Anyway, moving on. Slave Gunner, we've done his question. That was the Drake ships at DefenseCon. Rayo, do you think CIG will release more ships with quantum dampeners apart from the Mantis?
Real quick, Algared. We've got a $2 super chat from Orlit.
Okay,
that we
thank you,
missed
Olive.
because it wasn't scrolling. And I just left the comment to Carl. I said, "Congrats, Carl! You have won the Super Hornet Mark II Heartseeker thanks to CRG. Please reach out to me via Discord. I've left my username, and I said you've got a week to get back to me,
Otherwise,
or we'll
we
redraw it. So if he hasn't got it by next stream, we'll redraw that one."
Yep.
All right. Sorry. Back to your question. Sorry. For
And I think next stream we'll probably do the Paladin.
I might leave the Paladin another 2 weeks if that's okay with you, because that'll give it exactly a month.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Rayo has a question. Do you think CIG will release more ships with quantum dampeners apart from the Mantis? Yes.
We were kind of hoping that that's what the choir was, but it was a letdown.
Mm-hmm. Yep. As a Javelin, sorry, Leming, you want to add anything to that?
I don't think they will. I think they want that to be special, and I think the Mantis is ridiculously undergunned and pays a lot in its budget for that ability. I don't know if there will be that many more of those.
Fair cop.
Yeah.
Next question is from Jock Cop. As a Javelin owner, Algared, what modules would you like to see for the Javelin?
I do have to run, boys. So
okay, Lemmy.
It's been fun.
See you, mate.
All right, no worries. Take care, mate.
I'll reach out to you to set up a time.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll shoot you a message. All right. See you, mate.
Okay,
all right.
bye.
Adios, Lemmy. So, I expect the base rooms on the Javelin are cargo holds or cargo rooms. Variants that I could see would be a luxury suite, because there is a Javelin that was used by a Mezza and it was refitted out with luxury. I could see extra crew quarters. I could see Marines. I'd love to see a second hangar or hangar options. That was something that was mooted by member community way back then, and CIG kind of went, maybe, which, could be taken as not in your life, or we'll wait and see. I would like to see repair facilities so you could actually repair your dropship. Yeah, World's your oyster. So I'm happy with whatever CIG end up bringing out.
Sorry,
So,
I missed the question because I was working.
What modules would I like to see on the Javelin?
We went through heaps of stuff. An Admiral's Quarter, extra hangars, extra like essentially what the ship already does, and expanding it. We've talked about this a lot of time with modules. So, extra armories, even another hangar, things like that. So,
Yep. Smokey Sampson says, any thoughts on when CIG is going to address some of the original launch ships that are still in need of gold passes, Freelancer 300 series, Cutlass, etc.?
I think we kind of covered that when we went back through the other images. They will do it as they're required, though. Like, obviously, the older a ship, like a Freelancer, obviously really needs it more than a Cutlass, because a Cutlass has already had a rework. But again, I think all ships will never stop being worked on for the life of the game. They'll eventually just be rotating through and doing maintenance.
And that goes through with the, I think, with the Hornet Mark 1 that people were talking about. Even though it's not available in game, CIG have said they will keep it up to date in terms of the stuff. They're just not going to go and rework and do a major change to the ship. So, if that makes sense. So they'll keep working on ships and making sure they're functioning in game as intended. Filetarios says, what do you think about the Hammerhead? Should I buy one for anti-fighter barrage, fleet escort, or wait for a competitor, possibly with fewer crew requirement?
I am not a big fan of the Hammerhead. And that's because if you actually psychologically think about what you're going to be doing on that ship, you've essentially got 3 roles. You have 4 roles. You've got the pilot, the co-pilot, the engineer, and then all the turret gunners. You're going to want your best person as an engineer. You're going to want your best person as a pilot. And therefore, your co-pilot and all your turret gunners are the only seats that can be rotated through. And essentially, if you're playing a security guard, which is kind of what that ship is, like they talk about it being on patrols and stuff, is you are going to be like a security guard at a bank. Just sit. Your whole job is going to be sitting around waiting. It's going to be quite boring. And when you've got all those people sitting in the turrets, 6 people,
It's going to be boring.
It's going to be boring as shit. And they are not going to want to sit around and wait. They're going to want to be in the mess hall and talking with each other or running around in the corridors doing stupid shit. And then when the shit hits the fan, they're not going to be where they need to be. And then also on top of it, that ship is needlessly big and has a massive hole in it.
Yep.
Like, and I don't mean a hole as in it's got a gap in its gameplay. It's got a literal hole in it, like that goes right through the middle.
I see the problem with the Hammerhead is that, yes, it's an anti-fighter barrage. It's a bit like the problem that we kind of identified with the Retaliator. We expected or hoped the Retaliator would lose some of its gunners and be combined into automated, or at least joint systems.
Absolutely.
The Hammerhead feels like that as well. But at the end of the day, the Hammerhead is an expendable ship. It's there for anti-fighter defense, for anti-missile defense, and if need be, to put itself in harm's way to protect the capital ship.
Yep.
So it is
needs of the many, literally.
The goal of that ship is to eat a torpedo if it's going to save a capital ship.
I just think for the money that you're spending, you can do like I know the Polaris has gone up in price now, but like at the time it was literally $50 extra to get a Polaris. Like it's twice the size, twice the number of people. Actually, both you and I have still got those Hammerhead to Polaris CCUs.
We do.
Maybe we should give those away sometime or something like that. I don't know. We'll find something to do with them.
Yep.
But
yeah, they if you look at the Polaris and what the Polaris can do with its PDF turrets, at the moment, they do a better job than a Hammerhead, I think. They will chew up the fighters, they'll chew up the missiles, they'll chew it. So
again, 2 Redeemers, or a Paladin and a Redeemer. You look at the crew count. What can you do with some of the other ships? And you start to look sideways.
Yeah.
They've only got size 4s on them now. Now I know they've dropped the Redeemers to size 4s. But again, you've also got the maneuverability. That is not to be outweighed either. And when you start to look at other ships, they don't look so good anymore.
Yeah.
It needs the ability to. I reckon if you could make it so that it was a turret where it had 2 size 5s.
Yep.
Or 2 size 6s, whatever whatever that balance is, just so it can shoot further. Like a Hammerhead variant. The thing writes itself. Like, let's be honest, right?
Well, if I can recall them talking about the Hammerhead, the origin of the Hammerhead came out of looking at Retaliator and saying, what if we made a pure gunship for anti-fighter stuff? And I think that's why the hole's there. They kind of tried to grow up the Gladiator.
No, they
thought
it looked cool.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. But it was the, origins, it was, I can see the concept data saying it came out of this. We've taken out the torpedo bay. There's a hole there.
That's one of those things where the rule of cool seems awesome. And then it comes out and you look at it after the fact and look at it functionally and you go, that's shit.
Yeah.
It looks cool. It really does look cool. But it doesn't work because you've got to literally have 2 corridors and you've got these 4 corridors that go around it just to create it. And the corridors, the whole ship is just corridors. It's crazy.
Yep.
Absolutely crazy.
Corridors, big long corridors running to the turrets. And I get it because of the way the turrets are. You want them like that. But
for example, how much quicker could you get to the cockpit, which is also on the bottom of the ship, which is interesting as well. But how much quicker could you get there if it was like just down some stairs and into a central corridor and into the back of it?
Yep.
That would be way cooler.
Lots of things you could do.
If they made it so there was a little boarding ship that fitted in that hole, then we would be on a winner.
It needs a donut hole.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know about a donut hole. I just think a ship that actually comes out of that to board people would be sick.
Yeah. It's something to go, like you get donut holes at the donut shop, the little round things. It needs something that fills in that hole. And
if you go to the muffin shop and just eat the tubs of the muffins too, are you one of those?
Mm-hmm. Yep. But yeah. So I did see the comment about the Perseus, because I was thinking the Perseus could also be a better ship because you've got the alternate ammo.
I'd still take the Perseus, but again, much like the Hammerhead, they're both overpriced. They are
both overpriced, and I would expect to see, or I would hope to see, the same type of treatment that the Perseus gets with variant ammo
well,
to be
that's the
something that the Hammerhead gets.
That's the scary thing, right? There's a $50 difference between the Perseus and the Hammerhead. The Perseus is not out yet.
Yep.
Like,
So that's going to jump in price.
You do the math on basically how much that's due to jump, right?
Yep.
10 to 20%. You're at 60. That's like $120 possible jump. That's insane. That thing's going to be like $750. Like that's bananas.
Well, in terms of the price jump that the Perseus will get, the only thing I'm going to say is it will be less than a Polaris.
Yes, we can agree. But
right?
Again,
but anything in between could be where it falls.
When you get in Hangar Viewer and you start jumping down ships like the Caterpillar, the Starfarer,
and you're dropping them next to each other,
it is a $350 ship masquerading it as a $675 ship currently, and that don't add up.
And that was why when it came out, we were a hard no and we would buy it. It was that value for hard-earned dollar, wasn't it?
But we both have one. But you and I got it for like $300. That makes it way more. Oh, that's a much better pill to swallow. So again, when we say these don't buy, like if you could get a Super Hornet for $110, get a Super Hornet for $110. If you can get it cheaper, then definitely get it cheaper. We're just saying when we say they're bad, it's also we're just saying they're bad for their prices when we mention it. They're bad value.
Bad value. Not good value for your wallet. It'll make your wallet cry.
I think there's
probably great in game and fun in game. But
there's very few ships that we would say that were bad. It was basically their price. I think me and Algared would even agree the Cutlass Steel. If the Cutlass Steel was $140, $155 actually would be realistic.
Well, $155 steel.
No. But if it was
it wouldn't be a steal.
But if it was $155, would you say it is worth the purchase?
Yeah, it's not a steal at that point.
Yeah.
STEA.
Yes.
Would I still like the steal? No, because I think it, but I wouldn't be as negative to it.
Yep.
So,
Eagles, if you're still listening, can you cut the bot, please? Because we've got about 10 minutes. Actually, we've got 20 minutes left because we started 10 minutes late. Still, cut the bot. We've still got enough time. We've got enough questions. So, TradeGator says, honestly, your gut feeling, do you think we'll ever make the game run smoothly? I think you will start to see evidence of whether that's going to be potential this year alone, with what they're talking about with stability. But we've already seen massive advancements in optimization. When the object container streaming came in, the frames essentially doubled. We now have 500 people per server, where last year we had 100. Right? We are like, that is an optimization. It might not increase your frame rate, but if the player count goes up, that is an optimization.
And the game is stable.
Yes.
And so, they'll push that player count up. But we often see it. We get it really stable and running really smooth, and then they push the envelope to get the high player count, and then they go for the process again. And we'll keep doing that. So, I think they'll do that.
Actually, we don't have 20 minutes left because I just realized the time was from when we started streaming. So we do only have about 7 minutes left. All right, so let's rapid
Nolan
fire.
Says, "Yep. How in the depth do you think the mod community will get? How in depth do you think the mod community get? Could we see custom ships or ships from other sci-fi, some sort of arena commander? What would be the technical limitations?"
Other sci-fi, they always have to shut that shit down because of licensing issues. They don't want to ever open themselves up to being sued. So, you go out and do that, you're going to get yourself hurt. But if you turn around and made an RSI ship that was based on something that you came up with, I don't think they would care, because they might, you make a really good run, they might even make it official.
Yep.
Right? Not saying that will happen, but I'd be making your own unique creations. Again, with the multiplayer component, probably not as much as people think anymore, because once you go into MMO territory, it is really hard to do private servers and stuff like that, because it's like turning around and trying to make your own WoW server. Yep. There are people that have done it, but you can't have like wild numbers of people is what you can on the official servers. So you got to keep that in mind. It'll probably happen. They'll allow it to happen because they kind of promised to do so, but I don't think it'll be. The game is expanded. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yep. Carlton Whitfield, do you do you think they will ever fix a Starfarer, or do you think they'll just do a Mark II?
No,
I think they will fix a Starfarer.
Yeah,
we know it's slated.
This Mark II stuff, right? They did talk about Marks back in the day, but it is more akin to certain ships than others, like Zeus and RSI and things like that. And it is more of a lore thing than, like, not every ship's going to get a marked variant, right? Eventually, over time, they'll go back and redo ships, but like just as often as where they call it a Zeus, they might just call it a completely new shipping as well, right?
Yep. Well, if you look at the Connie's I think up to Mark 4 or 5 in lore.
Yes, that's correct.
So,
yeah, but again, they'll come back and make more marks.
Yep.
They'll or they'll call them, the 2, or they'll change the name, or much like they've got a prospector, they might make another. They can make an Argo variant that's a minor, things like that.
Mark Jones, how powerful will armor be? Good question. Do you see options for non-shield ship builds? Yep. I think that's what the Polaris of Perseus was originally. That's me adding in. Do you see options? Sorry, do you see options for non-shield ship builds, which are tanky as well as having more armor for guns or more power for guns? Elite did this with some ships, stealth option, etc., etc.
That could totally be a thing if you find an older ship. What if you find an original version of the Perseus?
Yeah.
In-game, in lore, like a crash version, and you repair it. I'm sure there'll be quests and missions that go into lore-based things, like you crash on a Tavaran planet and you think you guys are stuffed, but all of a sudden you find an old Tavaran temple and you find an old Tavaran ship and you somehow manage to do it up, and it's all a part of that planned out mission dynamic mission system that they had planned. When you rolled the dice, that's the story that you were given.
Yep, and I could see, as you find the Tavaran ships, I could see you finding old ships from the Tavaran War that have been damaged or destroyed, abandoned, and then you find them, and back in the Tavaran War, certainly the first Tavaran War, we did not have shield tech.
You can pick
used armor.
You can pick any race. You could find a crash Vandal ship. You could find an old Perseus, like I said. Like it could just be a ship it could be a reclaimer, and the shields just don't work. Or only one of the engines work. Because again, if they put you in a difficult situation, the mission becomes survival.
Yep.
Right? And again, it writes itself. And you can see, I'm really looking forward to that dynamic mission system. Not going out to do one thing and it turns out into a completely different thing is going to be part of the fun. I think and then you add friends into the mix. It's just amazing.
I could see, Star Citizen almost being a survival game. And in a sense, if you crash land on a planet and you're able to build a base of some form. Can
you mention the stories?
Yeah.
We crashed here, and there was this massive Yeti, and Theo died, and he lost 3 legs, so we had to carry him out, just his torso. But he made it, and he's now got 2 we call him Cyber Chicken, and then that nickname sticks. And
no, we call him Robot Chicken.
Sorry. You get what I mean? You get my point, right? It's going to create all these stories that you're going to talk about for years to come. Yeah, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
It's the you look at the things that you do in games, and you'll find people will talk about the things they did with their friends at certain events, and that's the type of thing Star Citizen, I think, is aiming for, and I think that's the type of thing Chris has always had as his dream of that type of community gameplay. So, yeah. Dr. Reanimator has a question for us both, based on, and I think this is coming out of the discussion we had earlier about what we do if we weren't playing
board games.
Star Citizen.
Yes, I have.
Have you guys tried playing Battlestar Galactica? No, I haven't, but X has.
I have. It's a spy game. If you know any of those spy type of games, it does take a little long, and I think there are some other games in that genre of spy games that do it better. I've got a couple behind me. One of the more interesting ones is what's the name of that? Hang on, give me 2 seconds. Gotta get the name.
Yep.
Illusion. What is it?
But Illusion Shattered.
It's called Deception.
Perception. Okay. Yeah.
Murder in Hong Kong. It's a crime scene deduction game. One person's the murderer, and they're trying to confuse the evidence and stuff. And there's a person that is the forensics person, and they know who the murderer is. But if the murderer can pick who they are before it's once they're revealed, they win instead.
Okay.
So it's really interesting because they're trying to. There's one good person trying to point everyone towards the evidence, but if they're too blatant, the murderer kills them beforehand type of thing. So yeah, it's very cool.
All right, Stacks Gideon. With the focus on stability and gameplay, how long do you think it will be before we see org features, mobi-glass, and org symbols on ships and armors?
I think they
when they're done
pointed a little bit towards that with what they showed at CitizenCon about the armors and all that being on there. I think that signifies to me that that's possibly for 1.0 or before 1.0. It really depends. Like base build, like those space stations, I think you would agree with me, appear to be after 1.0.
Oh, they're going to take forever.
But base building as a whole is probably before. So it's where that split falls, and it's like, is that really required? No. So I could see it going back behind that, behind 1.0. It's just priorities. And I think we all know how they do it now. Like, engineering got cut because they just couldn't get everything in for the patch at the end of last year. So it just becomes priorities. It'll come in when it can come in, and if there's a different team working on it, it may come sooner rather than later.
Yep. No, I agree. Slave Gunner has a question. We welcome the CCU game to maximize the value of what we spend, but honestly, it is hard to draw the line. What should we do when we end up with too big a ship, but with a lot of savings to melt?
Well, there are other ways to get rid of things as well. So you can give it to someone else, sell it to someone else.
If you've started with a CCU game with an LTI token, it does usually mean it's giftable, as long as it's under $1,000. So.
Yep. So there are other way around it as well. But realistically, you need to think about your long-term future in the game. And if you actually start to look at the scope of the game, if you just want to be a solo player, that's awesome. You just be a solo player. But I think you can clearly see the way the game is working. It is really motivating you to find friends and play together. They really want to focus on team play. Like a lot of the gameplay is pointing towards that. Even as soon as you get out of the starter ships, as soon as you go into the 2-player, the teamwork start. You look at it like you've essentially got Prospector, Mole, Arastra, Orion. Only one of those ships is solo. Every other ship is requiring you to work with someone else. And that's what they want. They want the teamwork to make the dream work. And if you've ever played any form of team games, I think back to Blackwake, Algared, Blackwake, or all the games that you and I have listed off over the years that you can play where you're working together. If you haven't seen Blackwake, it is a pirate game where you are working as a crew. One person is steering. Most people are working on cannons, but you've got to go pick up your cannonballs and your gunpowder. And so people will be delivering.
You have to repair the ship because it's sinking.
Yep, sails, people up in the crow's nest and all that type of shit. And it is utter chaos, but it's so much fun.
Yeah,
and that's the key. Working with other people is ridiculously fun. And I think they know that. And from a developer's perspective, it is less work because you get all that emergent gameplay. And then you just cross-pollinate that and dial it up to 11 with all the different ships going cross-pollinating, and we're going to be on a real winner.
Yep, I 100% agree. Shop FM says, yes, I understand what you're saying about the Connie and the Hornet, but can a Connie kill the Hornet is the question.
Yes. As Algared said, 2 to 3 Hornets will take out, is required to take out a Connie. And I think you'd agree 4 people versus 2. I'd be really surprised if a Connie didn't take out 2 people.
Yeah, not saying the Connie's going to be pristine when it's done, but the idea is that the Connie would win against. So the idea was if you get the number of Hornets that are the same value as a Connie, the Hornets would beat the Connie 50% of the time.
Yeah, I think realistically, turrets have a massive advantage now. I think that's been really clear from the last couple of Citizen Cons. Not only that, you got to remember it's got a Merlin, so you're dealing with 2 ships, not 1. You got a Merlin to distract you, and you've got a Connie there's going to have 2 turrets come to bear on you. And as long as they can keep most of the ship on you, which I don't think is terribly difficult in that thing, it's one of the more maneuverable S4s, as it says in its lore. I think you are going to struggle. Yes, the Super Hornet does have a turret as well, and that is to its advantage. And it'll really, I think a lot of it will come down to the pilots. To be honest with you.
And I think also, in fairness, I think the original was 3 F7Cs versus the Connie would be.
Yeah, back when they were talking about, So
Yeah,
two to three F7Cs. So it's not even Super Hornets. Yeah, you are correct, sir. Yeah.
So, but it's still that same type of thing. But I still would find it hard to believe that a single Hornet would be able to kill a Connie.
It'd be the pilot.
It'd be down to pilot skill.
Yeah. If you put the better pilot in the Connie, I'd expect the Connie to win, type of thing.
Yep. And then you've got the engineering ability on the Connie to extend life, etc. So
exactly.
lots of bonuses. A vendor has a question. When do you see the Maelstrom implementation in game? I feel a lot of ship combat and balancing is relying on the fact that some ships armor will be stronger than others. Indeed, it will be true.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit after base building now. I think base building's really come to the front of the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so, because it's I think part of that is that playability, quality of life, making the PU more fun while still doing testing and stuff. So yeah. Crivitus, what Intrepid variant would you each like to see?
Hang on, you answer.
So for Crivitus' question, I don't really care about variants, to be honest. I just like seeing the ships come out.
What Intrepid variants would you like to see? Okay. Well, we talked about this. It was really obvious that a bounty hunting variant was obvious because it looks like a hearse at the back. Then we talked about like a bigger cargo variant, like a Max or something. Then a data running variant. We kind of went through what does Crusader already do.
Yeah, and then
bigger gun,
Max
cargo, and data running.
But in fairness, I'm happy whenever a variant comes out or a different ship comes out. That's why I have Pokemon Syndrome.
We might only get one. We might only get one variant. We might not get two. So I'll have to wait and see.
When is the Reliant Mako usually for sale?
That'll be at
IAE.
Yeah, it won't be an Invictus because it's not military.
No,
so yeah, it'll be Invictus. So you're looking to November.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not up to often.
They could turn it into a military press vehicle, but it's unlikely. So usually November. Kishkin, question. Any idea when CIG is going to make an announcement on their intent for futures beyond Tier 0?
None whatsoever. That's way too far in the future.
Yep.
One step at a time.
Yep. Crivitus, what alien ship would you like to see after Aurelian? I would love to see the Banu mining ship. I would like to see the Banu merchantman, to be honest.
Yeah, first.
Yeah.
For the horse.
But
after the Aurelian, so it'd have to be an alien ship. Yeah, I think you're really only down. I think the only other ship. Is there another alien ship besides the Banu merchantman?
No.
Can't think of one. Yeah, so we are really down to the last couple of alien ships. So yeah.
The Sulian's out, isn't it? Yes.
Sulian's out. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Raylan and the Banu merchantman.
Yeah. I think if you look into alien ships, the obvious one is obviously some shop ships. We're realizing that they're going to have a few different ships of every size for shops because of the tech levels. Like a Drake ship's not going to be the same as an Origin ship. So you'd have where it could be a Taco truck if it's a Drake single shop ship. It could be a high-end jeweler for an Origin ship, see? So they don't have the same styles. But that also limit what they could sell. You couldn't...
Yep.
Do you make it so that the Origin ship would never allow you to put the Taco module in it? Yep. You're never allowed to put the jeweler module inside the Drake, as an example. So they do have limitations as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that all pans out down the road. Yep. And I think the reason I'm saying this is I think the Banu will clearly have another shop ship based on their merchant level, their slaving and stuff like that. I don't know if you agree with me on that one or not, Algared, but...
Look, I could see more Banu ships. I could see more Jean ships. I could see more... I'd love to see more Tavaran ships, actually. Not just Tavaran remakes from a Spirit, but actual...
Very tempted to give away a ship if someone makes me an image of Algared as a Tavaran. Feathers and all. Like a juxtaposition of Colonel Sanders.
Oh boy.
If you
Tavaran
make
are
one
a
that
race that I
impresses
would
me,
like to
I will
play.
give a
Yep.
ship. I'm not guaranteeing a ship, but if it's funny and it makes me laugh, if you can make me laugh with an Algared as Tavaran, I'll give you a ship. I think that is CIG's money well spent.
I would like to have Tavaran as a player race, and I probably would have a character that was Tavaran, just for sake, even if it was just as a
So, are you
an
a
NPC
closet
on
furry?
a ship.
Are you a closet furry that likes to walk around in giant chicken suits? Have you been
No,
on out me all
no,
this time?
I just like the idea of the underdog.
Right. Yeah. Well, the under
Tavaran
chicken.
Bar, the perennial underdog in Star Citizen.
Okay.
Um,
We do know someone that's actually planning a Tavaran cosplay. Actually, I've got to get him in touch with Paul as well. He wants some backstory from Paul. So yeah, I reckon if he can pull that off, that'll look amazing at CitizenCon if they end up doing it this year. So yeah,
that would be pretty awesome.
Red Samurai says, "Why the hell doesn't a capital class salvage ship reclaimer have a medical bay? Because it doesn't really need it. It's not a part of its primary function.
Yep.
Not every. Well, okay. Does your car have a medical bay? Does your house have a medical bay? No, but your house does have a medical tool, as in band-aids and stuff like that. It's the size and scope of everything. That's how it is. Yep. So you don't. Not every ship is going to need a medical bay. Not every ship is going to be a repair bay. Because if you can get yourself to the petrol station, you can get yourself fuel. It's that, and it's the same analogy as the real world. It's a cost thing.
Now, if they rework the Retaliator, which I fully reclaimer, which I fully expect them to do, could they add one? Yes. Does it need one, as Execute said? No. So,
best you're going to get is like a little hand tool or something like that, and that's all you really need for most things.
Top FM, do you think they will make a drake ship that takes a stab at being a luxury transport on the cheap?
I think they try. Ooh, there's a first.
Ooh, camera.
What happened there?
Maybe your camera doesn't like you.
Maybe I'll turn the fan on. I don't have the fan on. I think we've already got that a little bit in the Rambler.
Yeah. Oh, strike. If you think about it, compared to the Connies, you've got that in the Corsair because they've got the individual crew quarters.
No reason they can't do a Corsair variant. That's a luxury tour. Like again, it's got those big wings on it, like a nice big shuttle variant. A shuttle variant of the Corsair would be amazing, actually. Carries 2 rovers or something like that. Like you gut out all the rooms and it's just a 2-vehicle transporter. That'd be mad.
Anything's possible.
Like combat variant comes down, folds up the wings, lands, and the 2 large vehicles come out the back. Anything's possible. Like again, that's one of the cool things about this game, because the ships are inside and out. You can essentially gut it and put whatever different innards in. So I think that's why we're seeing that with a lot of the bigger variants too, like multiple Idrises, a couple of different privateer Krakens, and I expect to probably see more Krakens down the line too. Yeah. Let's see. All right, last question, Andrew.
Last question is from this mech rider who says, I was looking at the data storage. I want to sell ground survey data. I will mostly survey with the Duralancer. Do you think I will need a data ship on the side, or the computer capacity will be enough? And also, what about the future data ships?
So what was that about the surveying?
So he wants to do ground survey work.
That's an Odyssey.
And he intends to do that with the dual freelancer. I'm assuming he's talking about the dual lancer when he says that. So my first thought was, you're doing ground survey, but my first thought was, well, that's an Odyssey.
Yeah, that's where I went
just
too.
like you. Could you do that with a freelancer dual? Probably.
You can do anything with any ship, but it's how well you can do it. Can you eat really well with a spoon, or can you eat better with a pin?
Yeah, I can do it, but and we tend to think that from what we see, the Odyssey is a better ground survey vessel, probably the preeminent survey vessel. In terms of the data storage, I'm not sure what data storage the Duo actually has.
I think it does have some. I'd have to remember in that little midsection, but it's been a hot minute since I looked at it.
If it's just got the standard computing system, then I would say yes, you probably do want a data SIP with you, or you could just use that and be going backwards and forwards more.
I'd probably say the ship he's looking for probably doesn't quite exist yet.
Yep.
You've got the Herald that's a data runner. You got the MSR that's a data runner. That's a large, whatever that middle data runner is probably what you're looking for, based on what you just said.
Although if you've got an Odyssey, you put a Herald in your Odyssey, and then you've got
Yeah, or something like that. But again,
But-
the ship that you are actively describing is the Odyssey. And yes, that is a lot bigger than your Der. And I understand that. You're literally talking like 4 times the price. But that is what you've described. And until we get something that's smaller, there's not a ship that we can one. You know, we can't do that.
Yeah, the only one that
Der
really
probably Der is probably it'll be Der MSR. It'd be one of the Explorers. Terrapin would fall in there as well. There's nothing as perfect as the Odyssey, though. I think you'd agree with that, Algared.
Yeah.
All the others are a little bit. Yeah.
A lot of the others seem, and certainly when you look at the older,
he has an Odyssey.
Okay.
He has a. Then wait for the other one to come out, mate. That's the answer. You've got the Odyssey. Just sit on it and wait. What are ships that can be added to your Odyssey that extend that? So a Terrapin, so you can scan further. What can reinforce? You know, like you put a prospector in it and does the more mining. You put an expanse in it, does more. You see where I'm going with this, right? So start to look at ships that you can add to expand what the Odyssey does. That's where I'd be going.
Because I look at the Doer and the Freelancer, and I think it's an old ship. The Freelancer is a part of the original 5, if I remember correctly.
Oh,
yes, the
Aquila.
Freelancer was part of the original 5.
Aquila.
They're very old.
Aquila's another good one.
Yep, the Aquila would be another good one. But the Freelancers are very old ships, and so they're due for an update. And back then, the Doer was very much for space exploration. So that planetary survey stuff was something that came in after Pupil to Planet.
So by my math, am I wrong? The Odyssey's not 600, is it? The Odyssey 600?
I would have to
150.
look.
Oh, no, it's not 150. It's like 135 for the Der. That's why my math is wrong. I'm thinking the Der is 150, and I just times it by 4 and got to 600. Okay, yeah, it is over. Yeah, my math is off. Yep. Thank you. Thank you to Crivicus for saying the Aquila, because that is the one that gave me.
Yep,
that, so.
and the Aquila is another explorer ship, which would be a good value on it as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Standalone ship is $700 for the Odyssey apparently, and $625 for bond.
Damn, that's gone up a lot then.
So that's according to the wiki.
Where I got
the
mine
wiki
for about
tools,
600.
Yeah, I could have sworn mine was around that as well. But according to the Star Citizen Tools wiki, standalone $700 and $625 for bond. So yeah.
Okay.
If you've got that, like you said, X, if he's got the Odyssey, I'd be looking at ships that complement that rather than looking for another ship that does the same job.
All right. So who would you like to raid? We've got Cobra TV that we know, or there's a new person here called Citizen Spooner that I haven't seen before. So who would you like to raid? I'll give you 2 options.
Let's go with a new guy.
The new guy. He's got a bigger audience. That's fine. All right. So I haven't heard of this guy before, but I know Paul has raided him a few times. Let's have a look. Get that over there. This. That. Then I've got to mute. All right. So this is Citizen Spooner. And then I've got to copy his name. And then I've got to go back here. Yeah, I'm talking while I work. I'm one of those people. Flash raid. Citizen Spooner. All right, so we're going to be raiding Citizen Spooner. What do we want to ask him, Margaret? What's his favorite ship?
Yep.
What do you reckon?
How many spinnerisms has he made lately?
Does he need his fleet fixed?
Yeah.
Right.
We can fix his fleet for him.
All right, with that then, Twitch, say goodbye to YouTube. YouTube, say goodbye to Twitch. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good one, Twitch. Bye. They are off. All right, I'm going to turn the volume on now so we can hear them.
They have
If you
gone.
haven't got tablets, a little bit more difficult because it's a time commitment.
I mean, you have someone on your date.
He's getting out.
Oh, he's pirating people.
Nasty fellow.
Are those
I think he's taking out a Super Hornet.
He's dead. I got him. He's dead.
Is he not Connie?
I think I full killed him.
I think we just you didn't even notice we came in.
Yeah, I would say he's full dead. I shot him a lot too.
I think he's very dead.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, boys. Sorry.
It
I had to take
is a
second
problem
just to make
though
sure I
when
got
people are
those
playing the
shots.
game. They
Yeah.
can
Bro, I
miss
hit a railgun
things
on
like
him
that,
as he was
and
exiting.
Yeah.
I think that's what killed him almost.
So,
I
brother,
had to do a lot of damage.
brother, if you can collect, did we get raided again? Who did we get raided by? Inforunners, no way, bro. I spent a long time watching Inforunners. Hi, raiders.
Yeah, we're
How you
old,
guys
Algared.
doing? Welcome.
Yep.
To the
We
channel,
are
everyone.
officially
Thank you,
old.
guys. Thanks for the
Right.
raid. Hope you've had a good
Yep.
stream. No doubt I'll end up watching the podcast.
You're telling me
Yep.
something I already
He-
knew.
He's going to see us talking about him and
Okay, there's a
calling
ship
him.
coming in. You see
Yep.
that, Dusty?
All right,
Yeah.
we'll leave you to it, Citizen Spooner. Thank you very much.
bro-
All right, you guys on YouTube, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe,
Like,
ring that
subscribe,
notification
hit that
bell. Thank you to everyone that went the extra mile on Patreon at the end of the video.
And you still have a couple of weeks
Paladin.
to go to have a chance to win the Paladin. Go to our YouTube, find the video on our
Tier list 20.
tier list
5.
2025 and put a comment, and you could win a Paladin.
Right. We'll also get that video done this weekend. I've got to set that up. If we don't do it with Leming, we'll do it without him. But I want to try and do it with Leming if we can. So, all right, we'll try and get that done. With that, then, he's
Yep.
been Algared.
He's been executed, and we're out of here. Take care.
See you, citizens.